Really good knock from Imam ul Haq under difficult circumstances. He goes to 52, and Pakistan move to 93 for 3. A maiden test 50 made, well, at a pretty good rate as well. Just waiting to see how many balls it is he's faced, but it can't be more than... Yes, fading off into the distance. Memories of Malahide in 2018. We were there. Where were you? We were there. Where were you when we were there? Anyway, welcome back to Guerrilla Cricket for the second session. Could be the last session of the final day at Old Trafford. England still require far too many runs to even think about getting them, but they could battle it out to the end, could force a draw, could take the series to the Oval on Thursday. But it's a long way away. They've lost 2 wickets in the morning session. Jason Roy and Joe Denley battled manfully, certainly Jason Roy, and just as Jason Roy was beginning to finally get his front foot forward to the fuller ball, he forgot to, and the ball came back in between a massive gap. Bat and pad, and Patrick Cummins just brought back into the attack, had his 3rd wicket. Shortly after that, Ben Stokes trying to leave the ball, just got a feather through on the inside edge to Tim Payne. It was another wicket for Pat Cummins, his 4th of the 4 taken, and he's bowled magnificently. Last night he did the business for Australia. He came back when it was required, when that partnership of Denley and Royce had gone past the 50 mark, and he's got rid of England's main danger man as well. England still need 296 runs to win. Australia needs 6 wickets to win. I'm Gorilla Hendo, otherwise known as Cat Sitting Hendo on Twitter. And beside me I have Jason G. Hiscox, don't forget the G.
Good afternoon.
And he's on the jingles. And on my left, on tweets, we have, well, I say not just tweets, but monitoring Crick Tracker, monitoring YouTube. He has fingers in pies and eyes everywhere. It is Tony Bish Bash Bosh.
Not fingers in eyes.
Not fingers in eyes.
Pies everywhere.
That would be strange, wouldn't it?
Hello everyone. Delighted to be back. Nervous for England.
Yes, indeed.
I would be optimistic for Australia, but you just never know.
Well, it's going to be...
Not at the moment, you don't know.
It's going to be this man to open up for Australia after lunch.
Paceman Pat,
not him again.
Paceman Pat and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy back.
And this
Rick Cummins!
this man is going to be facing.
Johnny Best is smarter than the average Besto. Johnny Best has been this good since daycare, so all put on your wigs.
3 slips, waiting as Cummins bustles past umpire Erasmus and strikes Bairstow high up on the thigh as the ball is angled into him. The ball drops out into the offside.
You say monitoring everything. Bear, could you come and let me know how I can get the comments up for YouTube? I can see the 3 of us. Well, I can't even see the 3 of us. I've refreshed and I can still see Gary wearing what looks like his pyjamas.
Yeah, we don't want that. No one should be forced to watch that. That one rose. I must have wrapped him in the belly button. He must have extraordinary abs to have just worn that with
upper nether regions.
Oh well, no, but he took it in those incredible stomach muscles that he has, and didn't flinch. In comes Cummins again, bowls full and dug out by Bairstow to mid-on. Now I was just thinking, if Patrick Cummins was actually your postman, he'd be a really good postman, because you could rely on him. He would deliver almost every time you asked him to.
Yep. And
he has done that for Australia today. And we still have 70 overs to go in the day. So that is a lot of balls for England to last. What's 70 times 6? 140, 280, 420 balls. I saw Annie Chave tweeting earlier, only 557 balls to go. I don't know whether that was before the 2 wickets went down. But now it's become an even more difficult, grimmer task for England to hang on in.
Glorious at Manchester. It doesn't look like any chance of any weather interruption.
No, just today. When you need it. Oh, again he wraps him in the 6-pack, and Bairstow is half forward to that one. He's getting good bounce. Is Cummins, and Yes, bowling really well. You just don't quite know which way the ball is going to go. He's got a fantastic off-cutter that he's used on many occasions. It really fizzes off a length. And he's also got the one that goes the other way. He uses that more sparingly. But tremendous bowler that he is. Here he comes again. Up past the umpire, Erasmus, who throws in a fuller ball this one, a little bit wider of the off stump. Bairstow, that sort of half drive of his where he doesn't really put everything into it, but doesn't time it on this occasion, hits it straight to extra cover.
I have a slightly surreal thought for Tony Bishop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Knowing that Johnny Bairstow thrives when he's
Yes.
put under adversity.
Yes.
I'm wondering whether he's heard our Guerrilla podcast yet, in which he is...
He's not put in.
he's usurped by his father.
He is. I think he'd take that, though.
Yeah, certainly as a
Having spoken to
wicketkeeper, not so much as a batsman, although David Bairstow wasn't the worst. In again, he leaves this one outside the off stump. Good length again from Cummins.
Now available from all good podcast supply sites.
It is. It most definitely is. It's out there in the general public if you're a Surrey fan or a Yorkshire fan.
We're just trying to corner the world in podcasts at the moment.
That was the third edition of Guerrilla Share, and we looked at the best and finest over history English players who played for both Surrey and Yorkshire and for England, and it was terrific fun too. Paul Murphy says, how's that Denley debate going? Well, he's still in, so he'll be good so long as he's there, I think. If he gets 150, it won't be a debate.
Looking for a third Test 50, I think it is. In he comes, bowls to Bairstow. This is outside off stump, and he leaves it alone. That is the end of the first over after lunch. It's a maiden. Bairstow remains on 2. Denley needs to go to that half century.
Any more tweets?
Well, I'm just looking at one here. Luke Felmingham and 5 others like to it's not a tweet we were mentioned in. Okay.
Mentioned.
So I don't think that's.
We're not going to go into
It seems to be ancient history. It was something about missing 2 wickets, but I don't think we did. The bloke selection of facts and hysteria was bad enough.
Oh,
but
no, it's
making us miss 2 pommy wickets, that's unforgivable.
Yeah,
what
there's
was
some
the
sort of
context
argument. I think it's some sort of argument about Australian farming going on. So I don't think that's something that we need to get into, really. I think there was an argument between some tweeters about Australian farming, and they happened to be listening to us at the same time.
It's bad enough that you sit on cats. The idea of farming Australians is
yeah,
quite remarkable.
The quality of Australians.
Got a couple growing nicely there down in the south field.
They've not been too good, actually. It's been a disappointing year for farming Australians.
And to keep to the menagerie, this guy is going to open the bowling. The goat.
Lyon
is. I like his onside field, and I think this is possibly a field that England should have more often to Steve Smith. I suppose it's unlikely if you've got a left-arm spinner who's trying to turn it away from Smith that you would have this. He's got a slip. He's got a forward short leg. I'll have to wait for the camera to pull back to give you more. But he's cutting off most eventualities. Down the wicket, and he clips this away. Slightly aerial, but behind square. It runs straight to the man guarding that area. So that's another of the fielders. He's at backward square leg.
Yeah, he didn't quite get there, did he? So the ball just allowed to turn just a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was just a little bit aerial.
Positive intent, you could argue.
The fortunate thing, and I'll tell you about this in a moment, as this is full and he drives it nicely up to mid-on, is that the man at short leg, as soon as he sees Joe Denley advancing down the pitch, moves with him. And in fact, that's actually quite good in a way, because if he does turn it behind square, he's then out of position to take any catch. In he comes again. Ooh, that turns, and he flicks, this time squarer, and finds the gap, finds room for a single. He moves to 49, and England get their first run after lunch, 88 for 4.
We have some company on Crick Tracker for sure. A Dipper Day says 6 wickets.
It's true.
And counting them down. Ibrahim Jassat says, good morning from Grenada. Oh, good morning, or Grenada.
Grenada or Granada?
You.
Spain or the West Indies?
Grenada. Well, it's spelled Grenada.
So we think
Grenada,
Spain.
so that's Spain.
Yeah.
Well, good morning to you anyway, for sure. And Gubrav Singh says no, but I don't know.
Just
no. To
no.
what.
Just no.
No.
No, well, that's probably that'll be our cry at various points during the afternoon. Anyway, Bairstow comes down to face Lyon, none for 25. He's into his 10th over now. So getting turn. It's generally slow turn. He's in again. This is flatter, and this is turned by Bairstow to that man at backward square leg. Wanted the single, but Denley didn't. So they stay put. And we're looking, yes, we've got a man at deep backward square, also a man in front of square on the boundary, a mid-on and a short mid-wicket as well. So it's an interesting onside field. I like it. I like it a lot. It's cutting off all sorts of options for scoring. And again, Bairstow goes back, turns this with the spin to the man at backward square leg. That is the end of the over. Just a single from it. England 88 for 4.
Rather interestingly, Parbs 1980 is with us on YouTube, but says England need to implement the old Tufnell 2-7 leg side field with Leach. Yeah, but at the moment we're batting, and they might come on to think about that at the Oval, but they won't be able to until then.
I think that's also the Bears' preferred solution to negating Steve Smith.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but
yes.
I think it is harder to negate Steve Smith the way he plays on the onside. I don't necessarily think that just by putting players where he puts the ball at the moment is going to stop him, because he'll just then adjust, I feel. And he'll play it whether it needs to be squarer or a little bit finer. Cummins will continue, 4 for 23. All of England's wickets have fallen to him. He's on for a 10 for at the moment. He's coming in to bowl to Joe Denley, and Joe Denley goes after the drive there as a full ball is thrown up out there, but hits it more or less straight to mid-off.
Oh, that would be the last thing England want, is for Joe Denley to be run out attempting a signal that's not there to get to his 50.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that. We really don't. We got 3 slips. We've got a ring of 3 on the offside. Lyon at backward point, Harris at extra, Wade at mid-off, Stark at mid-on, Travis Head at mid-wicket, and then Hazelwood down at long leg. And Cummins turns at the top of his run and runs towards the old pavilion and is in, and again it's driven really nicely by Joe Denley. He's actually got it away from the field as he's hit it straight enough for that to run all the way up to the boundary, and that is an excellent 50 from Joe Denley.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
Yeah, we definitely don't want an extravagant celebration there, do we?
No.
Do a Stokes at Henley, just to really acknowledge it.
112 balls.
50 runs, give 50 runs. The job is only just begun.
And that was his 6th boundary. In comes Cummins again, a little bit further back this time, adjusting, and it's nurdled really a little bit uncomfortably by Denley into the offside towards Lyon at backward point. England have moved on to 92 for 4. I think the difficult thing for England's batsmen is that whenever an Australian hasn't had a spell for a while, he comes back and he seems so rejuvenated and so determined to get wickets that he produces something like just that little bit special. It's very difficult when you've got that quality of bowling at you all the time. Cummins in, bowls a short one, hits him on the shoulder as he tries to duck. Didn't get up as much as he thought it would, but he's ridden that with no real discomfort. He's accepted the blow.
Well, I think it's just the competition between the bowlers. It's no ball.
Well, it hasn't been given. It's another one. I'm not 100% sure that it is a no ball. From that angle, it's not.
They're awfully close.
It
every
looks
ball.
very close, and it looks like a no ball, but I think we'd have to see whether there's just a little bit of heel behind the line. We really do need to be exactly side on.
We were
to judge
discussing in
those.
the green room just how hard it is to call the no ball and also to refocus on the wickets.
Well, it makes absolute sense. He's almost played on there. Oh my goodness me. Played it with soft hands, but dropped it down and could so easily have just landed on his leg stump there.
Or he could have kicked it back.
Oh yeah, it
Well,
went down
by
between the
accident.
legs, didn't it? Actually, I think that's probably his legs that saved him, or his back leg brought the ball forward of the wicket.
Discussion on YouTube is this enough to save Denley? Parbs 1980 says he stays by default of actually getting runs.
Well, I think he does. I mean, I think there's been some talk on Twitter about him, and also some sort of some people hitting back in the sense that he's been moved around to accommodate Roy, really, and it's not altogether fair on him as he again thinks about the drive and then tries to leave it again, and once more doesn't get the bat out of the way in time. He's done that several times today. Safely enough, though, the ball ends up running out towards backward point. But yeah, I think Denley has to stay. But then people are saying, what about Dominic Sibley? Well, if you actually look at the averages, Joe Denley, although he's played fewer games than Sidley, he's got a very slightly better average than him. So on that basis, and the basis that he's now got 3 Test 50s, 2 in his last 2 tests, I think it'd be
You start to
very
get
harsh,
grips
wouldn't it?
with the international game.
Yes, exactly. You don't want to take a man out of it just when you think he might be progressing. Certainly, Roy has to go, and I don't say that because I don't like Roy, and I don't say that because I don't think Roy can ever come back again. But I do think he needs to go back to the county game if he can, and modify his technique. He needs to work on playing the ball with softer hands. He needs to be able to get that front foot forward more easily and prevent that gap between bat and pad. Bairstow goes back to the first ball of a new over from Nathan Lyon, plays it square.
Dare I say it, not slapping the ball about as part of the London spirit. But
Well, yeah, but
that's
I
another discussion.
I still do think it's going to be very difficult for him because he plays in a lot of white ball cricket. As Lyon is in again, slip and a forward short leg. It's too wide of the off stump, doesn't really turn back very much either on that occasion, left alone by Bairstow. It's going to be very difficult for him to get enough county cricket, and the county cricket that he could get if he doesn't play in the IPL at the beginning of the season, is that going to be enough? Also, because there's always one-day internationals to play. There's the World T20 coming up at the end of next year, and you don't want to spoil him from that. You don't want to sort of restrict his natural instincts so much that he loses the ability to play in one-day cricket. This is turned to short leg. There is no run. It's a very difficult balancing act for him, and I suspect he won't actually overcome that and will generally remain a one-day cricketer, because I think there are better, probably middle-order batsmen that can do that job. The likes of Ollie Pope coming through, of course. This is again turned by Bairstow to short leg, and there is no run.
Spicy Golden Duck says, afternoon gorillas.
Hello.
Listening to some chat about Steve Smith during lunch, it occurred to me that I would love to hear one of those close fielders making a vroom noises whenever Smith lightsabers another leave.
He's in again, he goes back, and that jumped on him, and it's only just short of short leg as Bairstow tried everything he could to make sure that went down rather than up, but it did pop on him. Oh, it's only just short. In fact, from that angle, you'd be forgiven for thinking that was out, but I'm sure there would have been more interest from the Australian fielders if they thought it really was. Lyon in again to complete the over. He goes back, he turns it. He's thinking there should be a single there, but there isn't, because they've got a man very well placed at backward square leg, and it's straight to him again.
Let's not forget that Bairstow is in desperate need of runs as well.
He is. Robert Miller on YouTube says, really at this stage, is the draw the only sensible option? Well, for England it's the only thing that they're going to be going for with wickets down, that they currently have the 4 down that they've lost. Superbus Daradub I think was reminding us that we were going to talk about Broad and Anderson retirement, and yes, we were.
Oh, were we? Okay.
I think, for me, Anderson is more likely just by dint of the fact he's carrying an injury that has been so hard to get rid of and is very prominent in various forms of media at the moment. So I think that may be forced upon him. I've not read anything to say that. It's merely a feeling in my water.
Cummins in, bowls full to Denley. Denley pushes back to mid-off. It's quite interesting, actually, just breaking away from that discussion. When you've got Lyon bowling at one end, it's an intense over that Denley has to face from Cummins, and then because Nathan Lyon gets through that over so quickly, it's almost upon him again. There is no respite, is there, really? You think, I got an over to rest at the other end, just to sort of switch off for a moment or two, but it's straight back at you, isn't it?
And they're not rotating the strike very well, so there's no sort of easy balls from the bowlers. No, indeed. In comes Cummins again. He goes back this time. Denley drops it down into the offside. There is a ring of 3, so he won't chance the single.
Katie Langham says there's no chance. I can't see there being a draw. No, well,
neither can we. But we keep going while there are players out there, while there are England batsmen still alive. Well, we can only see what's going to happen in the next 15 minutes, effectively. That's the only mindset we have. If we don't lose a wicket in that, then we think about the next 15 minutes.
Little increments.
And that's how they have to think as well.
Always. I remember Michael Bourne used to always talk about little increments when you're batting, and that's
you've got
the right attitude, really.
You've got to be careful of those little increments. They can leave awful sort of
little increments in your clothing, little increments in your
disorders.
hair.
Yes, this is Denley onto the back foot, plays it defensively into the covers again, and there is no run. But back to the Anderson and Broad discussion.
Yeah, so Anderson, that's my thinking on Anderson. Broad, I have heard, I think he should stick it for another series and another tour.
Broad's had a good summer.
He's had a
Brilliant
terrific.
summer.
He's not bowling like a man who you feel is at the
He
end of
looks
his
more in
if
rhythm.
anything,
He looks more in
with
rhythm.
He's been energised, hasn't he?
well, with as much as he was a fantastic partnership. I'll hold off for a second.
Cummins in again to Denley, bowls him a short one. Doesn't really get up much, but fortunately it passes down the leg side.
I'll say is still a fantastic partnership with Jimmy Anderson. The responsibility of leading the attack, Archer at the other end, he's bowled better in this series than he has done for a while, and he certainly doesn't look like a man who's thinking about retirement yet a while.
Sorry, go on, Jason.
The question in my mind is, do you take Anderson to New Zealand for a series that doesn't feature in the World Test Championship, or do you try to blood the future fast bowlers of England
it's a tricky one, except that
and allow him more chance to recover?
most of the future England quick bowlers, again, it's a bouncer, and he left the bat up there a little bit, so that was a bit risky. Unfortunately, most of the ones coming through,
They're also
for England,
cropped.
they keep getting injured themselves, don't they? So it's not an easy solution.
Robert Miller wanted to know how many overs left today. It'd be about 66, I reckon.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, I think Broad will go on for a couple of series unless he also gets an injury that won't go away. I think if Anderson's fit and feels fit, he'll want to go to New Zealand.
Oh, I think you'd have to get the ball out of his cold, dead hand.
I think there are certain players, aren't there? I think we were talking earlier about Joe Root maybe not being captain and being left out of the New Zealand squad. All this comes back into Denley, who rather worriedly looks around himself, thinking that he might have jabbed that down towards the stance, but it's actually gone forward of him towards the short leg region.
His second line of defence is working overtime at the moment.
It certainly is. Yeah, that back leg is coming around. So I certainly think Broad, unless something untoward happens, will go for a couple of more years at this level. I mean, Anderson, people talk about, in general, although he's got an injury, that he's generally very, very fit as a bloke for his age. So I think will he do another Ashes? Could he do another Ashes series down
He
under?
wants to, but I think the incidence of serious injuries that are now coming him, the cumulative wear and tear that he's now enduring,
that's the issue.
is probably going to stop him a little bit before the next Ashes series.
This one in particular, this one that's this injury that just seems to have stuck around this summer, doesn't it? Whenever he comes back, it seems to cause problems again. Lyon then to start his 12th over, bowling to Bairstow. Bairstow goes back, he turns this, and he will get a run this time because he's played it square enough. The man behind square is probably about 10 yards behind square, so he's got a chance to get the one there if he doesn't play it straight to him. 93 for 4 England, Bairstow 3, Denley 53. Denley comes down to face. It's been a good contest between him and Nathan Lyon. He's trying to get down the wicket to him. He likes the outlet of the occasional slog sweep as well with the turn. He's waiting again, it comes into him and that's popped, and that could be it. I think it is, and he's gone. Yes, that was the ball that surprised Bairstow in the previous over. That one has really popped on him. He couldn't control it. It's gone square. He's been given out by Dharmasena, and the end has come for Denley, and the end is nigh for England. Well, it was a good ball. It really did jump on him, and Nathan Lyon has found a couple of places where the ball's doing that, and it could have been Bairstow in the previous over. It's ended up being Denley in this over, despite the great efforts that he made. He deserved better than that, I think, and we talked about it being a good contest, and ultimately Nathan Lyon has proved to be the winner.
And that was a
yes,
easy
indeed.
short leg catch. I mean, that came off very gently. I mean,
well,
you don't have to be a James Taylor to catch that.
But there,
one.
once again, is the difference between the sides. Smith went on to get double 100. Denley got a 50, and a very good 50, and a fighting 50, and a commendable 50, but it was just a 50. And you needed 150.
Well, I mean, that's
I'm sorry to be harsh.
Well, it's not being harsh, really.
Well.
I mean, but even when we've had 100, I mean, how many hundreds have we had? We've had Stokes getting 135, and we've had Lyon getting 120. Have we had near the hundreds in this series?
Stokes has got 200s.
Stokes, yeah.
He's got 200s.
Yes.
Okay.
And Burns has got 100.
So we had 300s.
And that's it.
Arthurshire has a very interesting and rather different take on things. This isn't the last test, and I just saw mince pies in Tesco's, so something's utterly fucked. I think he's referring to the fact we're getting towards Christmas.
Anyway.
And we're still watching Test cricket in England.
Okay, new batsman at the crease is this man.
Pryor ain't no loss, 'cause we found someone Sutler. Okay, he can't spell Joss, but he also can't spell Butler. Joss Butler. Just because he is Joss Butler. One S and two T's, Joss Butler.
I'll tell you why I also think that Joe Denny's been a bit unlucky in both innings, is that the inside edges that he's got have been gloved onto midriff, where the jumper has kind of softened the ball.
Softened the pace.
Softened the pace, hasn't it? Whereas if it's just hit the thigh, it might just go straight to ground. Anyway, this is Butler facing his first ball, and it turns from outside off stump. He's really trying to avoid playing it, throwing his pad to a certain extent, getting his bat way out of the way of it. Nathan Lyon was getting very excited. People talking about he's been poor in this series, but I really don't think Lyon has. I think he's just been a little unlucky at times. No, that's turned a long way from outside off stump. Again, he's trying to leave it. It's probably turned and bounced to the point where it's too high.
It's the bounce, I think, is too high.
But it is really going out of those footmarks created by, well, one, Mitchell Stark coming over the wicket, and also those people like Cummins going around the wicket to our left-handers. Here he is again, much fuller, whipped up to mid-on by Butler. There is no run.
Knuckle, Pandy, our own Knuckle said, I watched a YouTube video over lunch of every ball James Anderson bowled to Virat Kohli in the latter's 149 at Edgbaston last year, a stunningly unsuccessful spell.
Yeah, he was very unlucky in that, wasn't he? Forward comes Butler, and runs off a thick inside edge all the way along the ground. There is now another man in close on the leg side, so the backward square leg has been dispensed with, and that allows Butler to take his first run. England 94 for 5. Lyon has a wicket, 12 overs, 1 for 27.
Knuckle finished that thought by saying, amazing to think this was almost the same England team that beat India last year. Still a number of people saying match draw on Cricket Tracker. That's wildly optimistic from an English perspective, I fear. Jolly Darko had said, go Joe, stand up and be England's hero today. Then we can somehow conjure up a miraculous win at the Oval, and the Ashes will be undeservedly stacked from Aussie's grasp. I don't think so now. Joe hasn't. Well, he has gone. That's the problem.
I don't
so
think
when
the
you
Aussies
said go
are.
Joe, I don't think that's what you meant, but go Joe has happened.
Yeah.
I don't think the Aussies are undeserving.
No, indeed not. Peter Lloyd says, I think Jimmy's injury might actually extend his career. If he'd been fit for this series and that changed the direction of results, he might have decided to go on a high. That's a very interesting perspective, Peter. And a very valid one, actually. Quite an interesting thought.
Yeah, he has done a bit of media work, but also Broad has done a little bit as well. And Broad, well, they're both pretty articulate guys, aren't they? And have good points to make. This is defended by Joss Butler jumping in the air as he plays that up towards mid-on.
Was it with you, Hendo? We were watching a TV interview, and it was Stuart Broad's dad, and he said, if you just closed in on the eyes and nothing else, it is the same person.
Oh,
yeah, it was extraordinary. I'm sure it was you and me.
I don't think it was. No,
we were watching it in the green room.
I don't recall that. But
the eyes are a family trait, and just zoomed in on them, and they could be the same person.
Cummins into Butler. Plays that. Well, he's looking to play that into the onside. Gets a thick outside edge. It runs wide of the slips and down to the third man for a rather fortunate 4.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
He does give good interview, though, does Stuart Broad. He gives good interview, and it's highly articulate about the game. Unlike some pundits that we know and don't necessarily love.
It's also quite incongruous sometimes when they close in and you see some poor little interviewer with the mic up to Stuart Broad's face.
He's a tall lad, isn't he?
Yeah, Ian Ward's a little bit shorter, isn't he, than him. Outside the stump, left alone, just looking at Joss Butler's figures for this summer, and they don't make great reading, do they? He got 5 and 1 at Edgbaston. He got 5 and 1 at Headingley as well.
Harry Jarr says Jason Roy should be removed. He's not Test player. We go along with that.
Yeah.
Katie Langan says Australia the better side. What can we do?
Well,
I think it was a rhetorical question. I don't think she was looking for an answer. That was to
no,
list off.
I think
it was
I don't think she is
do?
looking for an answer, and that's what she thinks. I don't think there's a huge amount in it, apart from, well,
the Smith.
Smith. I mean, if you could almost argue that Cummins, as this is turned through square leg by Butler, he's going to get one. Is he going to come back for the second? There could be trouble here. Well, he's decided he's committed to it, which was just as well if they hadn't. It could have been a bit of a misunderstanding. Sorry, what were we talking about? Joss Butler?
No, well, the question was the Australia
Oh, yes.
better side. What can we do?
Well, I mean, Cummins has taken 24 wickets. Broad is second in the series with 19. So, I mean, there's not a huge amount of difference between the two of them.
I think the difference is that the overall strength of the Australian bowling attack is probably slightly better than the overall strength.
Their spinner is probably better than ours.
There are support players aren't as good as theirs.
No, that's true. That's a bouncer, and it's a massive bouncer. It's gone flying over Tim Payne despite his leaping and outstretching of his right hand, and it's gone for 4.
There's not one boy for me. I must have 2 or 3. I need 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the beginning of the series, I thought Australia would win the series. I mean, I remember hearing even a few months ago people saying, "Oh, England will win 3-1." What? Hang on, have you looked at that pace attack? It's a bloody good pace attack. And then they've got one of the best off-spin bowlers there's ever been in the team, and people were talking about England winning 3-1 when we hadn't really sorted out anything regarding opening batsmen. This is beaten Butler outside the off stump as he
getting a working
tentatively
over here,
prods forward, and it's through the keeper. 104 for 5. The 100 did come up in that previous over. Bairstow 3 and Butler 7.
Now this next tweet, I'm wondering if predictive text has been at work, because there's what's written and what I think may have been meant.
Okay, let's hear what's written, and then we'll have an interpretation.
Good morning all. Got a bit tossed last night, so had to sleep through the first session. Turned on the match to witness the disintegration of England for the final time. I was wondering if tossed, it's not the sort of thing you tweet. Hey, I got tossed last night.
No.
So I suspect was it pissed maybe?
I think pissed.
Yeah.
But why tossed out instead of pissed? I mean,
unless Devon, you and I have a different image of what toss means in this instance.
Well,
there is. Let us know. All answers are fine, by the way.
Is tossed slang for knackered? I don't know.
No, I think it is predictive text, because every time I want to say something starting with B, it ends up being another word, because of predictive text rearranging my words to something more palatable.
But surely it can't predict before you've written the first letter. Anyway, 2 men on the leg side waiting for a catch. If that ball jumps again like it did on poor old Joe Denley, they could be in business. But this is work between the pair of them by Bairstow for a single. He moves to 4.
I'll tell you what, our friends on YouTube are quick, because the answers come back immediately from I keep saying it wrong. Staradub. Salad tossing maybe. And the
Salad
backyard
tossing.
Charizard says toasted ?
No.
Toasted is highly probable.
Oh
yes.
yeah, that could be. Now that's leapt on Butler, who insists on going back. I think that's probably the wise thing to do, because if you get forward to that and it turns, it's going to jump into your gloves. He's bowling a wonderful line at the moment. He's getting it to turn and bounce. That's turned a long way past his bat, hasn't it? Yeah, his bat's nowhere near that, which is good. Lyon in again. He goes for the drive this time. It's quite a pleasant shot from Butler, but straight to extra cover. And there is no run.
Must not send tweet, which is a very interesting name. Says in the US, tossed is a word normally heard in the context of tossed from the game, i.e. ejected or red carded.
Oh, ejected. Okay. I don't think he was ejected last night. Well, maybe. Flat. Well, it's flatter, and the line was a little bit off there from Lyon. It went down the leg side. Was allowed to do that. Something's tickling Tony.
Something is tickling
Tony time.
It's hard to be tickled during Nathan Lyon's overs, though, because you don't have time to explain
This is very true.
The root cause of your tickles.
Indeed. Here comes Lyon again into Butler. Butler goes back. It strikes him on the pad again as it turns into him quite sharply. But if he keeps his bat outside the line of that, he should be okay, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think this is all encouraging another close fielder on the offside, I think, for Joss Butler, the way he's playing these balls.
Well, he's a bit closer to that, actually. He was looking to play that one, I think, and then pretended that he wasn't. Last ball of Lyon's 13th over. He's in. This is a lot flatter, and it's well played by Butler, who lets that pass on turn past his leg stump. End
Do
of
I
the
hear
over.
the thundering hooves of an impending bear?
You may be. We shall see.
Could be.
He must be on his way.
Maybe
I thought he might have been
paws,
asleep.
not hooves.
If you want to mix your metaphors.
Indeed.
Josh Robinson it was who tickled me. So getting tossed well played. It's a sort of a Mog nod. A nod to Mog, who we haven't heard enough of. Where are you, Mog? What Josh said was getting tossed while paying insufficient attention sounds like a disinterested hand job.
Does indeed. So 104 for 5 England, and a long way to go for them to try and just eke this game to a draw, or eke a draw out of this game. Almost impossible.
We've started something now.
What with the tossing?
Tossing and toasting, and I'm glad I'm going to be off tweets.
I'm sure Nestle
Someone else can do it.
Nestle Boy will have a comment on that, I'm sure.
Cummins is still going. 15 overs he's bowled now, and he's into Bairstow. Goes back. He's going to take a single as he rather surprisingly sees that ball go off a thick outside edge down towards third man. I think it's Smith who's run after that, isn't it? No, it's Labuschagne. And they are, of course, very much indistinguishable these days because they're so good. The pair of them, 107 for 5.
Oh dear, look at that kid's tongue. Evil Scooter says, despite Auto Carrot's best efforts, I've never intended to say or write ducking well. John Goodwin says, I tossed last night but didn't drink. Jeff Perkins says, getting toasted is something you would expect more from Nestlers.
Yes,
maybe
indeed
he was
were.
Trussed. Well, if he was trussed and tossed, I mean, there's a pervert's dream.
And the bear, to be fair, as well. He gets toasted quite often.
Oh, he does, yeah, true. If you trust, you kind of actually can't actually get out of that position, can you, once you've been trussed up? This is nicely turned by Bairstow down to long leg. They'll take a single. He'll move to 6. No, he'll move to 7, in fact. Butler has 7 as well. And England are 108 for 5.
Adam Keats has some kind words, I think, for you, Hendo.
Really?
Gorilla Cricket, as a superlative sub-editor, surely Hendo has a bittersweet relationship with predictive text. Kept him in clover when some laissez-faire columnist churned out an article on their phone.
I don't do predictive text. I found that occasionally it happens on the...
You don't do technology, do you?
Well, I do. The thing is, I've found that sometimes if I'm sending an email from the Gorilla Cricket Gmail account, it starts to predict what I'm going to say. And I said, no, I don't mean that at all. Fuck off. Cummins in again, bowls to Butler, lets that one go.
Is that because it's the AI in the predictive text, and because it's a communal account, you're out of tune with everybody else who's working from that account?
Well, I wouldn't know how to put predictive text on, that's true, but maybe the bear does and he uses that, and maybe Knackle does because he sometimes tweets from there as well.
I
text from
have it on, but yeah. Josh Robinson says, getting slosh while paying insufficient attention, on the other hand, sounds rather like me on ball by ball.
Hey.
Sometimes, Josh. Oh, Josh, by the way, I may well need your wonderful services for to represent Glamorgan on Gorilla Shear.
Glamorgan?
I will liaise separately.
Here is Cummins again into Butler. Ooh, he jabs down on that. It kept a little low. It was very straight. The ball goes towards square leg from a thick inside edge.
Katie Langer says at 3 p.m, if no further loss of wickets,
yes,
do we start hoping?
No.
That way madness lies.
Listen, I think we admit defeat because it just saves time.
There was only one reason that England managed to win the game at Headingley, and that was because I left before the end. If I had stayed, we would have lost. And so, on the basis that I'm staying today, I think you can draw your own conclusions. We're doomed.
We're not.
Cummins in a full ball again. A thickish inside edge as Butler plays forward, and the ball goes up towards mid-on.
Annan had said, Leach's crap not good enough. Since Deadly as in Underwood, I think, England have only had Swan, who was borderline world class.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can disagree with that. I'll have to think back.
Annan also asked, by the way, earlier on, our cricketing CVs.
What are our cricketing CVs?
Our cricketing CVs. So we might want to weave that into conversation during the course of the afternoon to answer that.
Okay.
Been a while since anyone asked me.
Cummins wide on the crease, defended watchfully by Butler, straight back to the bowler. And there is no run. Survived another over, have England, without the loss of another wicket. 108 for 5.
Oh, Joseph Lockwood. Now, here's the philosophical question. We've debated it multiple times, but it's always a fair question. Do you, says Joseph Lockwood, do you respect Steve Smith as a great player, or do you think he doesn't deserve respect as he cheated?
No, it's got nothing to do with the cheating. I respect him a lot now in a way, but I don't enjoy watching him that much. Although I think I'm beginning to, because he's now looking
the ticks
like...
are kind of... they get to you after a while.
Well, he does. I mean, I don't particularly enjoy it.
You're trying to work out exactly how he's going to hit a ball to somewhere, given his body is trying to
do something else,
play against him at every point.
Well, there is that, and also because I think, well, he has found a technique that maybe if other people followed, it would be also handy, but I don't think many people would be able to. This is whipped away by Bairstow into deep mid wicket. They'll take another single. But I do. Yeah, yesterday I watched one ball in slow motion that he played. It was from Jack Leach, I think, and he played it so late, and he was in such control. It just made me think, yes, there's something about the time he has. I just think he was in an incredible zone yesterday, where almost even better than he'd been at other times in the series. Forward comes Butler, drives, nice stroke, finding the gap, deliberately placed.
Nice.
Out towards deep extra. They'll come back for a third as Josh Hazelwood runs after it rather slowly.
That was very disinterested, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
I think he's getting slightly annoyed out there, and he wants to
go, and that's the worrying for England, because when he gets on, he'll be really chomping at the bit, and I wouldn't put it past him having another of those spells like he had on the second evening. He bowled absolutely brilliantly. 112 for 5, Butler into the double figures, 10, Bairstow to face on 8. We'll have a change at the end of this over. Back goes Bairstow, turns it between the two close men on the onside, takes another single out to deep backward square.
Matt Searle's a variation of a joke I already know, but the man who invented predictive text died recently. May he roast in piss. The version I heard was his Funfair's Next Monkey.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good. I do like them.
Before you arrange everybody, can I beg your indulgence to nip to the woods?
Beg indulgence? Of course you can. Put your hand up though first. Going to take another single to deep square leg. The bear, seeing the opportunity to get in on the jingles before he's asked to do the tweets, races over. He's got a Heineken in one hand. He's got his vape in the other hand. I'm not sure how he does anything else actually when he's, because he's normally carrying those two things. And Lyon, 1 for 34, is going to bowl now round the wicket. Curiously enough, he's taken
not a bad ploy.
No, he's taking the man from leg gully out. He's still got the forward short leg. The leg gully has gone to quite a short position on the 45. He's got two men out, one at deep backward square and one at deep forward square. And this turns down the leg side, and there'll be runs, I tell you. There'll be byes, in fact. But Matthew Wade, he's scarpered after that, like his life depended upon it. It's a bye, 115 for 5.
Afnan Ayaz wants to know tell us where Jimmy Anderson is. He was injured. He got a recurrence of his calf strain in the first test after 4 overs. Didn't come through his fitness tests and is out for the series with that injury. That's why there's no Anderson.
And that's a big miss.
Yeah, he came back and played some Lancashire second 11 cricket, and he was
got through one game, didn't he?
Well, he got through one innings. I think it was in the second innings that he discovered it wasn't going too well. He's in again to bowl 2. Ooh, Butler goes right back on his stumps, but manages to turn it away through those two men, and they pick up another single. That is the end of the over. It's the end of my spell. We are having a shuffle. The bear will be the next voice you hear as Tony tries to move sideways.
Well, am I going ball by ball?
You're going ball by ball. Well, I think we could possibly. But when we get to tea, we can only be 6 down, and I think that's too far. I don't think we can afford to lose another wicket this entire session. It was a good ball by Lyon to get Denley out. It skipped and bounced. There wasn't really a lot he could do about it. It's a bit unfortunate. He's gone to the 50s once more and then gone out again. But England are making a decent fist of this, unlike other times where they've come in hoping for a lot and it's all gone tits up before lunch. It hasn't really gone that all tits up before lunch. We said we got that outside. We could lose 2 wickets before lunch. We lost 2 wickets before lunch, no more. We've lost 1 immediately after. And the ball must be 50 overs old now. I'll find out exactly as we have a change in the bowling. It'll be...
we do. It's Josh Hazelwood.
It's Josh Hazelwood. Give him a jingle after
his
his
right
first
arm over.
delivery.
He's in to Butler, who works him away to mid-wicket.
Let's give him a jingle. It's this man.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
You'll like the last message I quickly saw that had rolled in on YouTube, and Jason's not there to read it, so I'm going to tell you, Bear. It simply said, "New commentator looks greedy at drinking."
Yeah,
I think that has to be you. As Hazelwood's right arm over, and Butler is nicely back to it to just push it back down the track.
I do like
There's no run.
I do like a beer with my cricket.
You do like a bit. Well, we all do. When I go and watch Test cricket, I always take a big picnic hamper, big sort of cold, what do you call those, igloo bags?
Yeah, I know the ones you mean.
And that's part of the fun. The picnic is
Cool
a big
box.
part of the cool box. Yeah, it's a big part of the fun. 116 for 5, England. Just when you think they're getting on top of things, a wicket has gone. They've lost Denley, they've lost Roy, and they've lost Stokes for 1. Hazelwood is in, and Butler is nicely tucked in, pushes that to mid-on. You feel this really is last chance saloon, these two.
Yeah.
If they can stay for another hour.
Next man in is Archer, isn't he?
It is, and he's not really brought his
bowling
county credentials with the bat to his Test game yet, has he?
Wafted a terrible one in the first innings, didn't he? No need to play at it.
He did. It's the hope that kills, as we say so often.
Kills.
And an extra hour, what would that take us to? That would take us to 20 past 3. There's still just too many overs. These two really have to make big runs.
Yeah.
And then
they have to make big runs after.
Well,
big
and that
occupation.
was left by Butler on height, and it was a good decision. He sort of jumped out of the way and raised his bat, and it was through to Tim Payne. Nearly chopped him in half, actually. It was a good ball from Hazelwood, and it cut back at Butler, who had to sort of bend himself forward to make sure he didn't wear that right in his tummy.
Yeah, I think T is at 410 today, isn't it?
116 for 5. The target is 383. We can forget that now. It's all just about trying to stay there. Butler batting well outside of his crease as he faces Hazelwood, who's in past Mario Erasmus. Worked off his legs by Butler, but 2 mid-on. And then there's a man there, so there is no run.
So this is the 45th over of the innings, so the ball should be getting a bit easier to play. It's getting a bit older. It's still, of course, we are going to have to face a second new ball, which with 35 overs to go, it'll come shortly after tea, or maybe around about tea time. We'll have to have the extra half hour before tea with 35 overs to go. They're getting through about 13, 14 overs an hour, so it'll probably be just about an over or 2 after tea, which won't be the best because you just had a break for 20 minutes and then immediately get the new ball.
Yeah, that's true. Hazelwood's in again. 3 slips in place, and this one kept fairly low and was taken down sort of shin height by Tim Payne. 89 miles an hour there or thereabouts. I don't bother with the points when I'm doing the miles an hour. You either round them up or round them down.
Super Vestero dub reminds us that in Australia it'll be an esky.
Yes, indeed. Did you? Oh, you managed to find YouTube in Jason's absence. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah, if you try and.
I can do all things. You see.
You are. What's the word I'm looking for? Completely amphibious.
Amphibious?
Ambidextrous.
That's it.
I'd give my right arm to be ambidextrous.
Well, I do set everything up, so I should know how to use it.
Well, there we go. Bairstow has 9. Butler has 12. Nathan Lyon is going to continue in the attack, as he has been almost ever present for at least the last hour and a half, possibly 2 of actual playing time. 116 for 5. Nathan Lyon is continuing again from the Jimmy Anderson end. Although, sadly, no Jimmy Anderson in this match, of course. And that jumps at Bairstow, who has a rather quizzical look back down the track. He's deep in thought. And he has plenty to think about. He has plenty to think about the fact he's been bowled far too often and desperately needs a score. And he's back on it again and just plays that down nicely into the ground though. And there's a man there hovering. It's Marnus Labuschagne at forward short leg, but practically bounced down at Bairstow's feet. So Labuschagne was only in the game to field, not for any other reason right there. 1 for 35 from Lyon.
Well, I've got on Twitter as Jason's not back.
As forward comes Bairstow, pushes that through the vacant gully area. There's no third man, so back point jogs across. They'll get a single.
I don't know exactly where we were, but Paul that's 44 minutes ago.
Is it Josh Butler's birthday, by the way, today? I think it may be. It may be coming up, Josh Butler's birthday. I'm sure Annie, if she's listening,
Well,
will tell
let
us,
us know.
is it Joss Butler's birthday today? If so, 150 for him would go down well. He's forward and nicely to the pitch, and there is no run. 37 revolutions per second for the goat. What have we found now?
Well, 9 minutes ago, Conrad Bertsky says, no offence, Hendo, but given your comments
Yeah,
about you
I've read
leaving
that,
early,
yeah.
have you? Okay.
No, I didn't read it. I read it to myself. I didn't read it
Right.
out, as that one's worked off his hips by Butler to fine leg, but David Warner is there. There's no run.
Well, he says, no offence, Hendo, but given your comments about leaving early being the only reason that England won at Headingley, please fuck off home.
Yeah, I did it. I read it.
I'm sure Hendo would like to do that, but no, Hendo, you can't do that because there's only 3 other people here.
He will not desert the ship as Lyon is in, worked away to backward square. They choose not to run, and very wisely too. 117 for 5. That's the end of Lyon's over.
Matt Charlesworth says, Reece Smith, we haven't really changed how we coach young batsmen for 100 years. Great that he has shown a different technique can succeed. I think idiosyncratic set techniques can succeed, but I don't think you can coach Piggy Smith's technique to anybody.
You can't, although... No, you wouldn't coach it with all the mannerisms and tics and affectations that come with it.
I don't even mean that. I mean just the way the positions he gets into are completely wrong.
No,
he gets his head and hands
well,
over the ball.
when he reaches for the one outside of off stump that he ends up throwing himself at,
well,
and yet somehow he gets 4 for it. I mean, he makes his own.
Well, he does,
luck.
but he also cover drives with his foot outside leg stump. You know?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else you take get across to the ball, get your head over the ball, and drive it. He gets his head over the ball.
Butler, we're just watching the dismissal of Joe Denley. Butler and Bairstow are deep in mid-wicket conversation. You wonder if that really is about... Well, I wonder if it's genuinely anything to distract them from, just take them out the zone for a moment, or if they're really thinking about how does one manage this. Tim Payne, what I hadn't noticed, Tim Payne had gone off. Which meant, who's been behind the stumps then? Or are we just waiting?
I think we're just waiting. Was that a drink? Well, it has been an hour.
Well,
sure.
I suspect the only reason for him to have gone off, it had to have been a toilet break, didn't it?
You need to go for a slash. Should have had that on before he came out. Jeff Perkins says, Bear likes a beer with his cricket. Singular? Really? No, it's not singular. It's many. And I have many in the fridge. Arthur Shear says, given their excellence in beer, it's frankly negligent that Belgium don't excel more in cricket.
Indeed. Hazelwood is going to take up the attack. Hendo, if you're in the green room, I'm just wondering, Jason just appears to have disappeared and
Well,
not
it seems
returned.
he's having a tom tit, not a...
Well, he might be having a tom tit, but even then it's a lengthy one. I just wanted to be sure he's okay, that's all.
He hasn't collapsed in there, has he?
Yeah, well, it was a serious question. I just want to check Jason's all right. As forward comes Bairstow away into the offside. And again, there is no run. 117 for 5. He's okay. All right. Yeah.
He's straining.
We don't need any more information. All I needed to know was he is all right. That was it. That's fine. 117 for 5.
It is indeed the birthday of Universal Joss, says Lennox Lewis.
Well, happy birthday, Universal Joss. And what a birthday it would be if he could be there at the end and England have somehow, miraculously, saved this game. In comes Hazelwood, full and swung in a little bit. But Bairstow was tidily behind it there. Bat and pad nicely together, as they should be. And as too often they're not with Johnny B.
Well, Parabadshaw talking about Belgium and beer and cricket. It's just all Liffey on bowling.
Oh,
see what he's done there.
Very
Everyone
good.
Trappist LBW.
Yeah.
Trappist monks, are they Belgian?
They are. Well, Trappist monks, I don't know if they're
And they make a
uniquely
lot of
Belgian,
beer
but
as
they
well,
do
don't they?
make beer. They
Yeah.
absolutely do make beer. Yeah. Oh, there was a lovely video, a shot there from the crowd of a young lady asleep on her boyfriend's shoulder until she realised she was on the telly. As forward comes Bairstow, pushed back to the bowler. No run. 80, just south of 85 miles an hour. Jason has returned.
Feeling much lighter.
Like I said, too much information. I just concerned for his well-being, and all I needed to know was yes, he's fine. 117 for 5. Jason, how are you doing?
I am in all senses relieved.
I'm not sure about all senses. That's a mental image I don't want to be carrying with me, but nonetheless, Hazelwood has turned at the top of his mark. His right arm over, he's in. All that swung in, and Bairstow though was behind it, pushed it to mid-wicket. No run. 83 that target. That hasn't changed for a while. Bairstow on 10, Butler on 12. And it's a long, long, long afternoon for England. But, Jason, if these two are here in an hour's time, dare we hope, or is it just a delay?
We can dare. I wouldn't suggest it's good for your health.
Okay. Punters, who comes third?
Sorry, say that again?
Who comes in third? No one.
Oh, in the Ashes?
Yes.
In comes Hazelwood. Worked off his legs. England are going to get off 117.
That's lazy fielding by Cummins.
Wasn't great. It was pushed away to mid-wicket, or really sort of wide mid-on, I suppose. It's Patrick Cummins, and I think it took a bobble.
He just stuck a big boot out, though, didn't he? He didn't even get down, didn't bend.
Have a look. It was nicely pushed away, effortlessly. Let the ball do the work by Bairstow. Cummins comes across. Yeah, it was just a lazy bit of fielding. He got a great big size 12 to it, did Patrick Cummins, and it bounced away off his boot.
Actually, that's a pretty good stop, because that did hop on the wicket edge.
He wasn't even making an attempt to go down.
A good stop from a cricketing perspective. If that had been a football perspective, you'd have gone his first touch is terrible.
Yeah,
because the ball bounced miles off his boot.
No control.
No control.
How far did we get on the
first touch? Like a trampoline. In comes Hazelwood. Well, we've been sort of picking up some slack.
I've got to all lefty arm orthodox bowling. Everyone's a Trappist LBW.
Yeah.
Which may be the last one that there is.
And then there was a few on YouTube. It was somebody asking, or somebody commenting on the incoming commentator clearly enjoying his drink
I've done a
or
few
beer or words to that effect. So I think we've kind of got past that one. End of that over from Hazelwood. 118 for 5 England.
Yes, I am. Sanko asks, what's happened to Hasib Hamid and Dawid Malan? Well, Hasib Hamid has unfortunately just been released.
He's been binned by
Lancashire.
There's been talk of Worcester snapping him up. He definitely needed a change of scene. He definitely needed something. Malan's been making good runs for Middlesex.
And you would know.
Doing very, very well indeed. And I think personally he's unlucky not to be in this side. As this is worked away off his legs by Bairstow, but straight to Marnus Labuschagne, who's breathing down his neck from forward short leg.
Do you reckon the fact that he's left-handed has counted against him in the fight against Lyon?
I think that may very possibly be true, as well as this, as Lyon gives us some air, and Bairstow drives this and drives it beautifully past mid-off and all the way for 4 runs.
That went like a tracer bullet.
Didn't really, but
well, it didn't. But it was timed. It was sweetly timed by Bairstow. Everything
all along the floor,
all the way along the floor. Cummins set off in pursuit, but it was one of those fast bowler. He was accompanying it to the boundary more than he looked like he was really chasing it. To go back to Malan, I'll do that perhaps after this ball from the goat, who is in again. A bit of air onto his back foot goes Bairstow and just clips it away once again to Labuschagne at forward short. There's this ludicrous thing that he's better away from home than at home.
Yeah.
Having made whatever he made, 140 in Perth. I mean, that is such utter tosh.
And 300 plus runs in the series in total.
It was completely ludicrous, but that
he gave him one test when he came
back
as well, didn't he?
I know. So yes, I would support. I mean, I guess you've got, if you're looking at that number 4, number 3 slot, you've got Ollie Pope, as we were talking about earlier. There's other people fighting for it, but they're not the ones in possession.
There's a whiff of impermanence about him.
Around the wicket comes Lyon, flicked beautifully by Bairstow off his legs, but it's down to deep square leg, so he will just get a single. He'll move on to 16.
I mean, I've seen a lot of Pope up close since he came into the Surrey side, and whilst he can occasionally go very big, he's got at least 2 double tons that I can think of, and probably 3.
I can certainly think of one quite recently, am I right?
Yes.
As Lyon comes in around the wicket, and forward comes Butler, and he whips that beautifully through mid-wicket. And there is no point in chasing that. It's thumping into the boundary sponge for 4.
Now my innings going, great guns. I hit the ball, 4 runs. I hit the ball, and it went for 4 runs.
BBB, Birthday Boy Butler. And Birthday Boy Butler is looking in tidy order here.
Even at 150 or so, you get the feeling that he's never completely in, and he could be out next ball.
What, Pope or Butler or Malan?
Pope.
Oh, Pope.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
nothing.
you watch him. You watch him way more than me, Jason. So I would completely defer to you on that. As Butler is in, as Lyon is in to Butler. Butler flicks this, but flicks it straight along the ground to mid-on. Mitchell Stark, I think.
I would really like to see tomorrow's headline saying Butler eats Lyon.
Butler eats Lyon. That would be good. Shivam Divedi says Australia are going to win. Yeah, that's kind of the sense. But England, what we asked for at the beginning of play was England to put up a fight, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Take it to tea. Take it to tea and see where we are. Well, that's by no means a certainty yet, but they haven't completely fallen over, and for that I think we would be grateful. We have a change of bowling. It's going to be the Shark.
It's going to be the Shark.
Number 56, Mitchell Stark.
I'm going to go in and try and find some other bloody jingles for some of these players.
Okay, well...
DJ Bear at the turntables.
None for 25 yet. Economy of just over 4. He's bowling from the Statham end.
What's this one?
Can't win a test match.
Oh, we haven't heard this for a while.
Without your best players on the park. So bring Mitchell Johnson.
Oh, well, that might be outdated, but
yeah, it is.
And leave out Mitchell Stark.
We've just asked to leave him out. That's not the most appropriate jingle as he's actually playing. As he's left arm around the wicket, and Bairstow has to duck, and it didn't actually get up that high, did it, Jason? It seemed to pitched it pretty short. But
yeah, I think that's the proverbial loosener that he's just flinged in short, and just to bend the back a bit and warm his arm up.
Now you're a man of a certain age, Jace. When you look at Mitchell Stark, do you see just a hint of Jimmy Hill?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, good.
The jaw is slightly prominent.
And the beard. It's the beard and the jaw. The beard is probably there to cover up the jaw, which always was.
Let's hope he doesn't have the same pedantry and.
Well, indeed, there's a job for him here if he does. As in comes Stark, full and left outside of off stump by Bairstow through to Tim Payne.
It's interesting. He's started straight around a wicket, hasn't he? Here.
Well, he clearly thinks the ball's not swinging,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
he's going to angle it into the batsman and try and make him play as many balls as possible, because the numbers game works in his favour.
Yeah, and if he gets one to go away, which is a pretty decent ball, then he could pick up a wicket.
127 for 5.
Katie Langan says, I'm now beginning the long journey of hope at 14:38 p.m.
The long journey of hope. As Stark is in around the wicket again. Ooh, and I think that went off the hip of Bairstow, and very well taken indeed. Down the leg side by Tim Payne. He's got a bit of a bad press occasionally for his wicket keeping in this series. I don't actually think he's done that badly at all.
I think he's a much better technical keeper than Bairstow, and he certainly moves his feet better than both the Bairstow and
he's
Butler.
finding some form with the bat. He's a likeable chap. Yeah, I think there's a lot to admire in Tim Payne, especially as the way he's come back after all the issues and troubles he had with his dodgy fingers, and he seems to put those behind him. As Stark is in, and Bairstow is forward and pushes it to mid-on. There's no run. Nearly 89 miles an hour, so he's cranking it up, is Mitchell Stark. Known as the Hoover or the Mop, isn't he? Because when you get towards the tail, he's the man to get rid of it, or to mop things up, hence the name. 127 for 5.
At what point do you think Australia will just start to worry a little bit?
Not yet a while. Tea. If England gets tea without another one down, then it could all start to be interesting. Stark is in. Nicely played by Bairstow, but again just pushed to mid-on.
Well, it will do. I will say that I put money on England at 4-1 just after lunch for the draw.
Okay, 4-1.
Just before Denny got out.
What are the odds now?
Yeah, well, they've gone out.
If people are interested, because we should probably mention.
Now let me give you the match odds. I'm not betting on anything else for the rest of the game.
Let us know what our colleagues at
Knackle's got an interesting stat about Butler, which I'll relay to you.
Oh Lord, look at that. That's horrible. A man with his shirt off, he's waving his shirt above his head and everything is wobbling. It's just horrible. Flicked nicely off his legs by Bairstow. I don't think it's going to make it all the way to the mid-wicket boundary. It's not, because Travis Head is down there. They'll take 3, I would imagine, and ran
Well,
very well indeed.
That's bloody interesting. Say England are 150 to 1, which is not surprising. They're not going to win. But the draw, considering we lost Denley, I put the money on before we lost Denley, and I got 4 to 1. It's now 13 to 4.
Well,
seems a bit.
Okay.
This may inform your information.
Okay.
Your decision. 13 of Butler's innings of 61 to have been more than 100 balls. That's 21%. That's a slightly higher average than Matt Pryor percentage of 100 balls.
So what? He
whilst he may not get that many runs, he tends to stay around.
He can stay there to do it
for quite a long time.
Isn't that funny? And yet you'd think that wouldn't be the first stat you'd expect of Joss Buttler, would it?
Kind of. It is.
Oh, this is an interesting change. Sorry, Jason.
Oh my
We're
word!
going to see Marnus Labuschagne, who is giving Nathan Lyon a rest.
Well, let's have a jingle.
If this jingle's needed, something has gone wrong. Take a toke of mellow smoke, guzzle something strong.
Endo, can you bring me a beer, please? Might as well get going.
Bowling some of his occasional leg breaks. To be fair, he's got a best of 3 for 45 in test matches, doesn't he?
Thanks, man. Absolutely.
Yes, it's beautiful description by our friend on YouTube. He's flipping the ball quite aggressively from hand to hand, and then does what I always call the obligatory spin bowler's cough.
Somebody at the door.
Into his hand. Was there somebody at the door?
Yeah, somebody at the door. Who the hell's at the door?
Oh, who are we expecting?
I don't know. Maybe someone sent us a nice package via.
Oh,
a care package.
A care package from somewhere around the world. In comes Labuschagne, and it's a little bit short, and Bairstow has time to stroke it away to backward point and move on to 20, bring Joss Buttler back onto strike. So crucial for England, this partnership. And you really feel these two have to be to tee and
it's a
on.
care package.
It is a care package. Well,
Brian, thank you very much,
001.
Brian. We remembered it was you this time, and we didn't send it off to be drunk by the man from.
Oh, was it poor Brian? It was a Brian's care
yeah,
package that somehow got turned away, and then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh well, Labuschagne's in. Oh, and that turns, but it's a bit of bounce, bit of turn for Labuschagne away from the right-hander, and left alone by Joss Buttler. 131 for 5. He's a spinner of the ball between his hands, isn't he? And that one again gives Buttler time to step back and ease it away to cover.
If any of those interested in the Formula 1, seems like Vettel span off and fucked it up and got a stop-go penalty. Leclerc is in front with Hamilton and Bottas in 2 and 3. Only a second and 2 seconds behind.
Okay, Labuschagne in again. Once again, there is plenty of time for Bairstow just to take a step back and send it down to that man at deep cover. Who is that down there? Is that Travis Head?
Probably.
He's going to be in if Labuschagne's bowling stays like this. He's going to be in the game a lot, I reckon.
Well, it's a bit too short. And there's not enough flight, is there? But I mean, he's a part-time spinner. He's not a full-time spinner.
Interesting. It is an interesting idea from Tim Payne, though. Just mix things up.
Well, you might as well give it a go if he gets the breakthrough.
As in comes Labuschagne, forward comes Buttler, no run. I wonder, Jason, if the thinking might be, well, England might just look for a few release shots and give a wicket away here.
Yes, it's to
that's
reduce their concentration.
Is that the temptation, you think?
Oh, I think, why not? I don't know if it's necessarily funky captaincy. I think it's probably quite a nice idea. Labuschagne sticks his tongue out when he bowls, and Buttler, who doesn't stick his tongue out when he bats, just comes forward and pushes us away into the onside.
I am Sanko, talking about Milan, says, I rated Milan when he was here in Australia. If you are good enough, you should be able to play anywhere.
Well, you and me
seems
both.
to be only for the overseas tours.
Utter nonsense.
Well, it is.
I've heard this, and it's such tosh and piffle. It just makes me cross.
Well, the only reason they say that is he didn't do a lot here, did he?
Well, who was that again? Was it Pakistan or India? He didn't. He made a
only
couple of 20-somethings. I mean, Jesus Christ! You're giving Jason Roy a lifetime to make
exactly.
single
You've given him
figures.
a whole series to get fuck all.
Milan's made a Test match ton in incredibly difficult circumstances. and yet he makes a couple of 20s here, and that's it. He's binned. I mean,
well, I know it's incredible, isn't it?
I know. I am partisan on that front, and I confess it. But I feel
but I mean, there's an argument. There's an argument for bringing fucking Gary Balance in the side that we don't all agree with.
Okay, there might be a. Yeah, I'm not
well,
so
yeah,
sure
no,
about
but
that
it's true though. I mean, you look at the county averages.
Stark, anyway, it is going to be again. Sorry, Bear. Let's just see this ball through as he's around the wicket. Bairstow onto his toes to push it away to mid wicket. Sorry, what were you saying there, Bear?
Well, I'm saying that there's an argument for. There's always an argument pretty much every year for Gary Balance to be in the Test side because he's usually up in the towards the top of the county averages. But you've seen him enough time. I mean, someone's seen something in Milan that they say, well, I don't want him batting in England for some reason. That's not your opinion. I don't.
Cricket's a game of
I'm
opinions.
a bit ambivalent about it, but. We all watch Gary Balance, and no matter how good his average is in county cricket, you go, he camps too much in the back foot.
Well, that is the issue.
And he
Balance,
struggles.
Income Stark, 3 slips go down, and it's wide of the off stump of Joss Butler, and he can happily leave that.
And I was just going to say to Tony, you work in marketing, don't you?
Well, I still do, sort of. I'm semi-retired doing my own thing these days, a lot of which is doing
David
this.
Milan probably, because as you know, perception is everything, and therefore David Milan probably needs to sack his current marketing person and get you on the job.
Well, his current marketing person might be his brother, actually. I think Charles does quite a lot of work with him.
Well, I mean,
get you on the case.
Well, I'd be delighted to. I rate David Milan, and I think he's matured as a captain too. As in comes Stark, and up onto his toes goes Joss Butler. It's a way to short cover now. So that's quite interesting. For Butler, we have and Stark, we now have a very short cover come in. Just put that little bit of extra pressure on.
What I was going to say, a similar argument to Balance was actually put forward to why Milan isn't picked, isn't he? He's predominantly a back foot player, and they thought that he would suffer in that respect in England.
They also
and it was fine in Australia because the pitches were supposedly a bit more bouncy, which is the whole theory about him being an away player.
Well, he does. The one thing, and we'll just hold that thought for a second, and because I do know something he has said as David Milan. In comes Stark, left arm around the wicket, and Butler plays this away to that man at cover. One thing that I think though works in Milan's favour, he likes to play the ball late. He doesn't reach for the ball a la Jason Roy. He's very good at letting the ball come onto the bat, playing it under his eyes, and he will play the ball late. And I think that would work in his favour when you compare it to some of the issues we have here of players who are pushing too hard at the ball.
Some would say that's exactly what Gary Balance does too.
Well, he plays it so late that he's mostly watching his stumps fall over before he plays it. As onto the back foot goes Butler. Actually, that's a bit unfair as a way to point, by the way. Although he was an LBW waiting to happen a lot of the time, wasn't he, with Balance? That was partly the problem because he played not only so far back but also slightly square, and that often got him into trouble. Your point, though, I think where you were sort of heading there is county stats can mislead.
Yes.
Because he constantly is high right up there in the county averages, and yet when put into the Test match cauldron hasn't quite cut it, and it's frustrating. It must frustrate him as much as anyone else. It's the Graham Hick syndrome. As Stark is going to continue. This is the last ball of this over. It's quick and it's straight, and it's straight enough for Butler to stand tall and
doesn't make
push
a
it
lot.
away.
Stark doesn't make a lot happen with that ball, does he? I mean, it's all up and down. It's
not
reasonably quick, but it's up and down.
Knuckle Kaza weighs in with a comment on this. Says, given that Milan seems to be pegged as an away specialist, surely he's in the conversation for the tours to New Zealand and South Africa. He is significantly better away from home average.
Yeah, but he's only played 5 tests away from home.
And England is currently the hardest place to bat in Test cricket.
Look at context. A losing series against a rampant Australia. Now we are getting funky. It's Travis Head time.
Oh my word.
Right arm off breaks from the Anderson end.
Give him a little bit of
Well, again, why not?
Well,
they're looking to break a partnership.
Quick answer from Grubby as well to Knuckle.
Okay. Just before you do that, Jason, what do you think about this bowling change? We'll just wait for his first ball.
It smacks a bit of more desperation than I expected at this time.
Interesting. He's bowling from the Jimmy Anderson end. Tosses it up outside of the off stump of Bairstow, quite short, and Bairstow has ample time to let the ball come onto the bat.
Probably should be more turn than I thought, but
yeah. Oh,
it
no.
was a bit too short, I think, that ball.
Well, it's definitely turning. I think maybe again, as we wait, head is in. That one is flicked. It does turn. It turns onto leg. It turns from outside off onto leg and is flicked off the leg. But there is a man at short fine leg, and so there's no run for Bairstow.
Well, Tikapun wants us to give him a shout out. He says, I'm from the Pool, Baglung district, where Dorpatan Hunting
Heads in.
Reserve is located.
This one is turned around the corner. Again, that man at short fine leg, or sort of a quite kind of a backward square somewhere between those two positions.
He says every year people from Ireland, etc., come for hunting. What do you hunt there?
In where was it?
Yeah,
Bears.
in Baglung district.
Bears.
No, if they hunt me, sod off.
Again, worked away to backward square by Johnny Bairstow. So nothing too scary from Travis Head yet. Possibly thinking these two, by nature more aggressive players, give them something to be aggressive at. Now, I'm pretty sure that's where Tim Payne's head is, as well as giving his quicker bowlers a break. This one is easily defended by Bairstow, who has a big front foot forward.
I don't think they will. He also asked, a drinking commentator? Yes, I do like a drink. And Davis says...
Ooh, and that one turned again quite sharply. Bairstow, though, watched it all the way past his offside and into the gloves of Payne. So that concludes interesting but not terribly penetrative over from Travis Head. But it was doing enough to keep the batsman thinking, Jace, I reckon.
On the comment about England being the hardest place to bat in Test cricket, Poorhouse replies to Knackle, unless you're Steve Smith.
Well, yes, it is. I mean, the other thing about Milan is, as I say, it's about context.
And Milan Lear has something about Milan. Says perhaps Milan should start to pretend he's a wicketkeeper, since that seems to be the better way to get into the Test side.
Yeah. Be a batting wicketkeeper who doesn't keep wicket.
On this point about us having a few beers, David says, Tika, why not? Cricket's to be enjoyed, it's true. If everyone in the crowd can drink beer, why can't the commentators? It's exactly here, we are fans after all.
John Arlott used to get through a couple of bottles of claret, didn't he?
Yeah, he did indeed. David says...
certainly didn't destroy his output, although it made it occasionally quite interesting.
Jolly Darko and Jeff Perkins have commented on the tweet that our friend in the green room sent out for this.
Labashine is going to continue, given plenty of air, in fact turned into a full toss. And
Butler would have missed out there.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he's in the mood for taking risks, and he doesn't want to be out to an occasional leg spinner, does he?
No.
And he'll be very conscious of that. Labachane's in again, and nicely played. Labashane just skips a couple of steps to his right to field off his own bowling.
He just says, I think it's more the bear likes a beer with his cricket, or the beer likes a bear with his cricket.
Well, either way round, yeah. Davis would have loved Richie Bennett had a few beers in him when he was commentating.
As Labashane, and that was outside off for the right-handed batter, and went a long way further outside off because it pitched in some rough and footmarks, and went spinning away. Was almost taken at first slip by Tim Payne.
There's more talk about alcohol and performance, which I'll come to in a second.
He's very intense, isn't he, Labashane? The tongue is stuck out. Forward he comes onto the leg stump this time, and Butler pushes it away to mid-on, no run.
Johnny Darko says, I scored one of my finest knocks under the influence.
I've bowled pretty well.
Well, in history, there's
been relax you, and being relaxed is good.
There's a few batsmen who have limbered up for important innings with a drink or two. Whipped off his legs quite uppishly by Butler.
I think it was inside edge of the pad, wasn't it?
Was it? It was not really bringing forward short into the game. Who's at forward short now that Labashane's bowling?
I think it's Wade.
Is it likely to be Matthew Wade, isn't it?
Yeah,
who takes that role?
Likes to give it some bunny there.
I saw Cameron Bancroft had snuck on as a sub-fielder at one point, but it is Matthew Wade.
No, that was really just tickled around the corner. I don't know why Wade was getting excited. Unless he was 15 foot tall and already diving to his right, he wouldn't have had a chance for stopping it, let alone catching it.
Coming back to that performances on alcohol, surely one of the best ones has to be Gary Sobers going out until 4 a.m. in the morning and then smashing 180 the next day.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
different generation.
Well, indeed. Kasur Yogesh asks, will the match get drawn? And
It's a
It's
possibility.
I've got 4-1.
It's not a probability yet.
No, it's just a matter of time before this partnership.
In comes Labuschagne, gives this plenty of flight. In fact, it's a full toss and whipped away down to mid-wicket by Bairstow. They've taken one. They're going to have to run back for 2. Oh, I was going to say they'll have to hurry. They won't, because it was misfielded. And in fact, they're going to turn it into 3. Who was the guilty party down there? It was Travis Head.
Travis Head.
Probably thinking about how he's going to bowl the next over.
Indeed.
And didn't have his eye on the current task, which was to actually stop the ball, and he made a right old Horlicks of it. We're going to have a drinks break, so plenty of time, Jason, for you to meander your way through some more tweets.
Yep, well, we're going to start with a very nice meme from Messages, who says, bear hunting, do you say? And says a picture of a panda bear with a Gatling gun.
With a what? With a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Which I shall retweet.
Are we doing a change? One over? There is a drinks break. Is it worth changing whilst we're drinks breaking to stop kerfuffling?
One more over after the drinks break.
Righto.
Me to go by rule. Lovely.
Knuckle Panda says Smith averages in the 20s in Bangladesh, albeit from only 2 tests. The only places he averages under 50 are South Africa and Sri Lanka.
Who's that?
Smith.
Right, Acoustic Galaxy says he's going with England. Superbus Star above says bring back Benno. Yeah, he's dead. Sorry. Kasparam Yogo says draw. Dave S says would it be fair to say that Richie Benno is the Bradman of commentators?
Yes.
Probably.
Although I think from a radio perspective of my generation, certainly John Arlott was just wonderful to listen to. He would paint verbal pictures that just left lasting images in your mind. He was quite remarkable. But for TV, the beauty of Richie Benno was just what he didn't say. He knew when to leave a pause, didn't he?
Yeah. He said, if the cricket is interesting, say nothing.
Yeah. As far as a written word, well, E.W. Swanton, and before him, I guess Neville Cardus, all were magnificent in their eloquence.
Well, Kasparam Yoga says I want England to win, but they don't hit boundaries. Well, there's a way to go. It did occur to me, and I'm going to say this with a lot of, I know you're going to have hilarity, but if we got an extended last session, if England didn't lose a wicket and were 200 at tea, which is an hour and 10 minutes away, with only 60 runs required, probably 13 overs, there would be an interesting point that if they just carried on and didn't carry on losing wickets even after the new ball, that if they carried on at a similar rate of runs, they probably need 60 off the last 10 overs of the day.
They don't have enough wickets in hands.
No, they don't.
To entertain that.
Well, I would say actually, if they got to 60 required off 10 overs and these two were still there, Australia would be done in the head.
Yep.
And opportunities might arise, but anyway.
Well,
that's for the birds. That's for the birds, really.
Shall we agree to revisit that
Yes.
in the unlikely event
Precisely.
that 10 overs to go, we need 60 and we still have 5 wickets in hand?
Precisely.
I've got some. Johnny Elton says Balance has a Test average of 37. That's higher than almost everyone in the present team.
That's a fair
but averages
point.
can hide an awful lot of faults.
Well,
Johnny Darko says this kind of cricket, i.e. the defensive attritional kind, requires beer.
Well, it does actually.
Yes and no. I mean, look, all forms of cricket are fabulous. This is gritty, hard, day 5 Test cricket. The context of the series could not be more vital. It's a battle. It's a hard battle. And it's what makes cricket and Test cricket so wonderful. It isn't always crash bang, going for the win. England have their backs to the wall, and this fight is captivating viewing.
Is joined
and listening. I hope, not just viewing.
Hold on. Adolf Alexander Young says I'm participating in the Olympics in 2020. What do you do, Adolf?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Tell us.
Tell us what you do.
Stark is going to be in, left arm around. Oh, is that in front? That's a huge shout. Damascena's given it, and Bairstow has been given LBW. And he's reviewing straight away, but it looks like a review out of desperation, not expectation.
It is around the wicket. That would be the only thing that I'd say might save him there, but it looks pretty. Question of whether it hit him outside the stumps, I suppose. He was playing a shot outside the line.
He was looking to the square leg umpire, I think.
Well, I blame Hendo because
thinking about possible height.
If he'd have been here, I'm sure the wicket wouldn't have fallen. Let's have a look. It's
Oh, yeah, that could be.
It is fairly
it's
high.
Fairly high.
We are looking at a camera angle that is sort of following Mitchell Stark's backside, as it were. There's definitely no inside edge.
He's on his toes. It's on its way up.
Potentially
Hit the top of the flap.
It does hit the top of the flat. Pitches outside off.
Here's ball
Its
tracking.
impact
Come
is
on.
in line.
Oh!
And its umpire's called by the merest whistle and whisker. And Johnny Bairstow has to go. Umpire Damasceno will feel vindicated. He raises his finger. And I'm afraid the mountain to climb has just got taller.
And that's
and
it,
the
I think.
summit further away.
Well bowled the drink spray.
Yes.
After you've gone.
Big wicket. Just look at those. Look at Tim Payne. He's bouncing up and down like a jack in the box on cocaine. And it's absolutely thrilled to bits. Bairstow's gone for 25. And do you want to change now, Hendo? Now the wicket's gone?
I'll have a few
I
more
shall
tweets.
see you later on, I hope.
Spinner Grace says, so what you're saying is that Smith should be talking to Cricket Australia about going to Bangladesh, presumably to improve his numbers, since improve them everywhere else. Martin White says, does that not say balls? Not that I doubt your point is correct, Knuckle. Perhaps we should use the same ball for tests as the rest of the world here. Talking about England being the hardest place to play Test cricket.
Well, no,
I
maybe
think
other
it's the other way
places-
around.
I think you should do the other way around. I mean,
I think-
bowlers have it really hard in a lot of places. I suppose the subcontinent you always get turned, so that makes it difficult for bowlers. But pace bowlers have a turgid time on a subcontinent. And the Kookaburra's a shit ball, doesn't do fuck all.
And messages, if you want part-timers to take wickets, they need to start bowling more shit. Long hops and donkey drops are surely going to be the way to go. Well, they've just had the result with. So I think whatever they tried worked.
Well, there was a drinks break, and I came up with a ludicrous situation that might happen, and I've just completely jinxed the
So
side.
you're the man.
I am the man. I'm sorry.
You
about
are the
that.
man to spoil it all for us. Got a new batsman at the crease. Don't know how long he'll last, but this is him.
In a test that's day and night, and Piggy's scoring without hesitation. I know we'll be alright with Craig Overton.
And his first ball, he defends. Back down the track, and there's no run.
Yeah, a little bit unlucky there, Johnny Bairstow, isn't he? But I suppose you can look back to those games, the marginal decisions, and sometimes they go for you, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Given that not out, it would have rained not out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that I thought, Johnny Bairstow, you're just missing a straight ball. That ball's really done nothing.
No, I know. Well, that's what I say. I think the pitch isn't really doing a lot. That's edged by Overton, all on the ground. Bursts through her hands and a slipped, and he'll get himself off the mark.
Is that Smith's
down the other
first
end.
mistake?
Yeah, could well be.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was disappointing. They were batting well. They were batting well. They were, they were gutsing it out. But
actually, chimes nicely with Maraviner's point, saying it's the Aussie ground fielding getting a touch tired and messy.
Well, it was.
It was, but now I'm sure it'll pick up a little bit, won't it? They were ecstatic when that was remained out. It was marginal. It was umpire's call on the leg bail, but hey, that's the way it goes. Umpire gave it out. And
talking about inebriation and performance, Linux Leah says Zaltzman, Tom Sobbins talking about keeper had helped him with his kid in the morning after a night of drinking. He didn't react to the first ball at all, and it goes for 4.
Left alone outside the off stump by Butler, through to the keeper Payne, and there is no run as Stark continues around the wicket. It's his first wicket of the second innings. He's got 1 for 13. He's in 9th over.
And Knuckle gives us Head's bowling stats. No test wickets, 12 one-day international wickets at 61, and 41 first-class wickets at 63. So definitely an occasional bowler.
Well, Australia, I feel they've got one end open now, haven't they?
I think it'll be all over pretty quickly from now on in. We may not need tea.
May not need tea. You just want to go home, don't you?
Not really. I want England to stick it out more than you can imagine.
I'd love it if they stuck it out. I keep hoping that you need one. I mean, we can't afford to lose another wicket before tea now. And we've got an hour.
I mean, we got to come. We've got Overton in at the moment. We've got Jofra Archer,
and that's it.
Stuart Broad and Jack Leach.
Yeah.
And I mean, Stuart Broad is a walking wicket. Jack Leach has got a good technique, but I think he can probably be bounced out. Joffre Archer, I'm not really decided about his batting.
No,
at the
I haven't
moment.
either. I keep getting told he's quite a good batsman, but I've not seen it yet.
Well, I've seen him win a game in the IPL, but that's a completely different kettle of fish.
Well, it was only 4 balls he faced. I think I got lucky, hit a few sixes. Big swing, and well, not that one. That's what Archer was doing. That ball was defended by Butler out to the offside, and there's no run. It does seem that the ball's squatting more often than has done before.
Yeah, I think that's the danger for Overton, because Overton's such a big guy. For him to get down on one that keeps a bit low at that pace, at sort of 90 miles an hour, from the likes of
now it's the time for the grubber.
Well, exactly, yeah, exactly.
Steve Aldersley says, death, taxes and Bairstow reviewing his own dismissals are the inevitable things in life.
I think that was a fair... I mean, the angle that Stark is bowling there from around the wicket...
Well, it's umpire's call. I think that's fair enough to review that.
I think if anything hits you above the knee roll, it's fair dues to be reviewed, really. Because so many of these we see and we think that's out, and then amazingly it's going 6 inches over, so you never can tell with these.
Roger Melly says, is it my imagination or are LBWs from around the wicket more common now than over the wicket? Seems like it wasn't too many years ago that you never got LBWs around.
Well, no, in the old days you wouldn't have done. I think DRS has changed that, and I think it's brought the game more back in favour of the bowler. I mean, this is it. If you're around the wicket, it's not that you can't be LBW. It's I'm going to pitch outside the line, or it's, you know, the angle's too great and it's always going down leg side.
So this is one for Grubby in support of his argument. He says, why don't we send Leach in now? He has a nous to last longer than any of the others still to come in.
Well, it could be an argument for that.
There's an argument for that, it's true. Overton's going to face up to a Lyon. He's back into the attack now. They've got the breakthrough. It's pretty flat. Turns into him. He gets on the back foot and defends it out to short leg. No run.
Yeah, he's brought a man in on the offside for him as well, so that he doesn't just get that big stride.
Lunge in.
The lurch will lunge, one imagines.
The slab.
The slab will lunge.
Lyon, he's up to the crease now. Bowls, it turns into Overton. He gets right forward and defends that back down the track. There's no run.
Yeah, I think England were killed by Joe Denley going when he did. I mean, that was such a difficult ball for him.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that.
Not really.
I mean, it spat out of the rough. He tried to get his hands out of the way and it grazed the glove and popped up. Not a lot you can do sometimes. Lyon tosses that up, it's outside off stump, turns into Overton. He's hit into the ground, a short leg once more. Who's Butler? Who's Wade, obviously. Butler's down the other end.
It'd be nice if Butler was fielding at short leg. He might drop it to
well,
one or
he
two
might do
for us.
purposely. And Overton faces up, 3 balls left in the over. It's tossed up again, turns into Overton, who hangs on the back foot and plays it out to mid-wicket. There's no run. He can bat a bit, Overton, though,
He can bat. I mean, he was the highest scorer, wasn't he, in that debacle in New Zealand when we were bowled out for 58. He got 32, I think. So,
got some runs on the tour to Australia before that as well.
Yeah, he did indeed. He was a night watchman, wasn't he? He hung around for about 40 in one innings, didn't he, in Australia?
More than one, I thought.
Defended into the leg side by Overton, and there is no run. Gets right forward again and just plays that into the ground. It's quite nicely played, really. Lyon, last ball of the over, tosses it up. It's a bit too short. Overton goes back, keeps a little bit low, but he's right on top of it and plays it out to mid-wicket. No run, ends that over.
Yeah, 139 for 6. I mean, it's like you feel okay. The ball is turning, and these are good bowlers. You think, is this really a pitch on which England should be 139 for 6?
Not really.
That's my feeling.
It's just the pressure of the situation. More
it
than
is.
else.
I mean, it was always going to be the pressure of the situation, whether they can hold out. I mean, as I say, I think this is the best batting pitch of the 4 tests so far.
Yeah.
In terms of it offers less to the bowlers in terms of swing and movement.
Well, I suppose if you look at the game as a whole, you would have to say that England lost it when they lost those 3 wickets to Hazelwood late on the second day.
Absolutely.
They were going so comfortably at that point. They'd fended off everything that Australia could throw at them.
Well, that and the third session or the second session on day 2, as Stark is in around the wicket to Butler, who leaves that through to the keeper, and there's no run when they was at the start of, was it day 2 when Archer dropped Smith?
That was the start of day 2.
Yeah, it was the start of day 2. That was a tough catch, but you've seen him taken. It did go in and out of his hands. Then we you know.
Well, he was on 65 at that point.
Exactly, and then he was caught at slip by Stokes and ended up being a no ball. He was on 118 at that point.
Yeah, makes those things. Make big
Payne
differences.
was dropped on 9 straight after lunch.
Yeah.
Chasing a wide one. It was a poor drop at slip. Stark in around the wicket to Butler, left alone outside the off stump through the Payne, no run. Those are the things you can't afford to do if you want to win a Test match. You know, there's 3 really important moments, and you know, 1 you can maybe forgive, but 3.
No, absolutely.
And then also, you know, Payne was dropped again on 49. It was less important then.
Yeah,
I
it wasn't
suppose.
important in the end, was it? Because he only got 1 more run. But you know, absolutely, that slip catch to Roy, which is a kind of another black mark against him in a way.
Well, why is he the slip catch from Gordon in the first place? He doesn't even do it for Surrey.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. He doesn't slip field.
Mind you, they do have
a
plethora of riches in that regard, because they've got Ricky Clark at first slip. She's got Borthwick who catches flies at second slip, and Will Jacks or Rory Burns.
Well, then why isn't Rory Burns in slip? Wasn't he?
He's at gully normally when.
There's an interesting comment on YouTube that I can bring you in a minute. Just save you messing around on YouTube, Jason. And keep an eye on it from here.
Stark around the wicket full and guided by Butler square to point. It's very full, just jabbed it out there.
Yes, there's a couple in there I can see that I want them to talk about.
Ganesh Akadi says, would love to see India or Australia now with the current formidable Aussie team after Smith and Warner return and fast bowling at peak. And Sampad Barrett replies, I think it's more about the disciplined bowling of Cummins up front. And Ganesh comes back to say, we'd love to see Bumrah in action against that Aussie batting lineup.
Well, India beat Australia, didn't they?
Yeah, I did, but
suppose
without
Smith and Warner. This is true. That's full and right up in the block hole. Butler manages to get a little bit squared up and keeps his bat straight enough to force it out through the offside, through point. Gets himself a couple of runs.
Dave S says, I'd love to see another West Indies bowling attack like the 80s. I don't think we would. And Ganesh comes back and says, Aussie win in the next 1 hour.
Yeah, well, you may well be right, Ganesh. Yeah, I think Australia would still struggle if they went to India.
Oh no, I'm talking about in Australia. I think it'd be very interesting.
It would be very interesting in Australia. Stark gets that full and seems to keep a little bit low. Warner wants to appeal, but it came off the face of the bat, my man. As he defended it back down the track to Stark, no run.
Perko comes in and says, if you look at the game as a whole, England are well in it. I see, well in the hole.
Oh, indeed. Unable to reach the top and get out of it.
Yep.
Peter Lloyd says, England aren't trying to score to rate. If they had a chance, they would probably have more runs, but may have well have lost more wickets.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. Stark in and outside the off stump of Butler, who lets it through to the keeper, and there's no run. I mean, what wickets have fallen?
Today?
No, I'm just thinking English wickets in the second innings. Denley get out of the way of that one. Top ball to Root, didn't have a chance.
Yeah, Rory Burns a little unlucky,
A little bit unlucky, trying to turn it off. His leg's got a leading edge, but you could say maybe that was his fault. Stokes, unlucky, I suppose. I mean, he kind of tried to leave it. Nipped back and caught the end of his bat, much in the way that Warner has done twice in this Test series.
Well, that's why he caught the inside edge with Stokes, didn't it? Whereas with Warner, it's been the sort of toe end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people saying, "Oh, why did you walk, Ben? Why did you walk?" I mean, was he going to review it based on the Australians' review? I think they would have done. Yeah.
I mean, they seemed certain that it was a catch.
Indeed.
And having reviewed it when it was obviously a catch, we'd have lost the review. And
Aussie's going for the kill now.
They do appear to be. We got a new bowler, and it is the man that every time he comes back, he seems to take wickets.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy back.
Patrick Cummins!
Yeah, I don't think there's an enormous amount between these two teams that have been selected, but I mean, obviously Smith has been incredible. Cummins has been tremendous. He's now taken 24 wickets in the series. And their backup bowling has been better than England's, a little bit better than England's.
Yeah, well, again, England losing Anderson was a big, massive blow for England. Cummins up to the crease. Ooh, Overton just about managed to get a bat down on that and worse it down a long leg. Looked like he was going to be beaten on the inside edge and it crashed into his pad. Probably would have been LBW, but he managed to just creep the bat down on it.
It almost looked too quick for him, didn't it?
Yeah, it did a bit.
Speaking of Anderson, it's not just his wickets that we would lost, it's also his control and his
his reading of the situation. He knows when to bowl dry, etc, etc. It would have been a very intriguing battle between him and Smith.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that actually Jimmy has improved as he's got older. His economy rate has been tremendous compared with what it might have been,
He's quite
10 years ago.
happy to bowl dry at times as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's developed into a more intelligent, not that he wasn't an unintelligent bowler, but I think even more intelligent bowler.
I think you learn by playing everywhere, don't you? That's a nice drive by Butler, timed. Just blocked driven back past Cummins.
And speaking of Butler, Kazarab Yogesh says Butler will play like Stokes today. Well, he's already done more than Stokes.
He's got a lot more to do than Stokes had.
Indeed.
To be honest, from this position.
There's a dive by the man at mid-off. Cameron Bancroft is on for somebody.
I'm just thinking back to the first innings and thinking, how much more time could he have taken out of the game with the last wicket if he hadn't had that stupid wild heave after he just got past
I agree.
Yeah,
just
true.
got past the follow-on.
Cummins is in and Butler leaves that through at the keeper and there's no one. We've got to survive 48 overs.
I mean, this is it. This is exactly, Butler being out there kind of brings that into focus, doesn't it? Because you're thinking, well, if you could have batted out there for another 30, 40 balls, you and Jack Leach just batting it out, you put them on the back foot, don't you?
You'd have scored another 20 runs. It would have meant
that's 15 overs we don't have to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Today.
Exactly. Okay, the chances are we probably wouldn't have saved the match anyway, but it gives you that little bit extra, and it takes a little bit of pressure off you. Right, so yeah, I think they're too keen to give their wickets away for no real purpose. I think I don't understand what that was all about. Jack Leach has shown he's got 92 at Lords. Okay, you say it's only the Ireland attack.
3 not outs in this.
Yeah, he's batted,
series.
Yes, he's batted really well and really solidly. Of all the sort of number 11s you could have, he's one of the best. And so Joss should have shown a lot more confidence in him.
Indeed. Anyway, Cummins, he's up to the crease now, bowls full and defended by Butler back down the track, and there's no run. He looks pretty comfortable, does Butler?
Well done, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, okay.
Well done, Ben. Well done. Dear, oh dear. Well, I mean, I was thinking the same about Johnny, to be honest, before he got that one from...
drinks break did it for him.
Yeah. Don't agree to drinks breaks, England. Just stay where you are. Let them have a drink.
Still the time, isn't it? You're not facing a ball.
Just get someone to come out and inject you with, I don't know, some liquid intravenously.
Butler facing up. Cummins is up to the crease now. Bowls. It's full and it's met with a full face of the bat by Butler, who drives it up to mid-off. Straight to the man, who's Bancroft, and there is no run. So who's off the field then if Bancroft is on? That's
a good question. It could be Mitchell Stark. He quite often patrols at around about mid-off.
And he's just bowled a spell. He might want to go off and have a shower and rub down with a Sporting Life.
Wet Wounds Weekly, yes. But you know, so Butler's had to battle here for 20 from 61 balls. If he could have used up 20 more balls yesterday. Well...
Cummins up to the crease now, bowls, and Butler leaves that through to the keeper, and there's no run.
Well, I'm just about to some choice...
End of the over, full 37 for Cummins.
Headlines tomorrow morning if Butler manages to save England. It'll be, the Butler did it.
The Butler did it! Oh, yeah, tremendous.
Go and work for the Sun.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an obvious one, I suppose. Isn't it?
It is a bit obvious. So it's good for the Sun.
I think it's actually probably a bit too eloquent for the Sun.
There's no pun in it, so...
No, there kind of is.
It has a literary reference, so that might be above the Sun as well.
Yes, that might well be. Yeah, Cummins 4 for 37, Hazelwood none for 12, Lyon 1 for 45, also a wicket for Mitchell Stark. The ball's not going through the hoop. The ball is not going through the hoop. They want a new ball. Don't give it to them. Don't give it to them, because you know what happens when they get a new ball.
It's harder for starters.
It's always harder. I mean, what's this ball is 57 overs old. The one that they get to replace it will be about 30 overs old.
The poor old man is
whilst they're having a change of ball.
I know what you're going to do. Yeah. Okay, well, while you're doing that, we'll play some marketing and remind you how you can help Guerrilla Cricket.
The best thing things in life are free. Just like gorilla commentary, we need money. To Patreon. That's what I want. .com/gorilla cricket. We need money. Patreon.com/gorilla cricket. I don't like the BBC. I prefer gorilla commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want.
Now, I would say that ball that they've taken out of the box in close-up looks a lot shinier and newer than the one that they've just given away.
And they're just going to give it to the GOAT.
Well, they're going to give it to the GOAT initially.
Steve Audsley says, you're in charge of the English Test team. How do you fix the batting? Is the problem coaching, mental approach, or sheer lack of ability? I think the problem actually is an emphasis of the game for the last 5 years, and that they have an emphasis on white ball cricket, winning the World Cup, and they prioritise the resources accordingly, and therefore we've ended up with
a one-day side
that's full of white ball specialists who can't necessarily adapt to play the red ball game when it's required.
And also an inclination, I think, amongst the selectors or the selectorial team to have their eyes caught by what people do in one-day cricket, as opposed to actually going and looking at the 4-day game in the country and see who the men who are playing well in that are.
Indeed. Well, Nathan Lyon's going to continue to bowl, and he bowls to Craig Overton. He gets himself off strike because he just goes deep in the crease, works it out for square leg. Man's in the deep, he'll get himself a single. Yeah, and I said 2 tests ago, if you said to me World Cup or Ashes this summer, reluctantly I'd have said World Cup, because
me too.
The point is, we'd never won it before. We've been barracked by everybody. We've lost 3 finals. It's depressing, And
we were the favourites.
At the end of the day, things do turn. We haven't lost the Ashes in the UK since 2001, too.
Yep, 2001.
Eventually, it's going to happen again. We still might not actually end up losing the Ashes, as it were, as that's worked into the leg side. Just behind square, the man on 45 comes Gosson Fields, and there's no run. I mean, we were having this row yesterday. I mean, yes, they will retain the title, but if England were to lose this and win at the Oval, it would be 2-2. It's a kind of honour saved in a sense. We wouldn't have actually lost. We'd have not retained the trophy. We wouldn't have lost the series. It would have been a draw.
That said, I think I kind of agree with Tony's point that England have constantly in this series been coming from behind since the first day when they had Australia 122 for 8 at Edgbaston.
Yep.
Since then,
it's been troublesome. That's down the leg side. Oh, there's no back pad as it's caught by Wade at short leg. Shake of the head by Nathan Lyon.
Arthur says, turn back on to hear the word Borthwick. Are we pondering recalling Borthwick? If so, I'm in favour. No, I've watched a lot of him in the last 3 years since he's been at Surrey, and he's not transplanted himself well. He probably was when he left Durham, but not when he arrived at Somerset.
Clipped into the leg side by Overton. Gets himself another single. Moves on to 4. Butler's on 21. England 145 for 6.
I mean, even last year he had something like 750 to 800 runs at 35, which isn't a particularly stellar performance.
And Nathan Lyon is holding his finger in his towel behind his backside. So that's tossed up. Ooh, that kept low. But Butler managed to get his bat down on it. He has been out there for 63 balls. His eyes in. Jabbed his bat down, square on the leg side, got himself a single. I think his finger's hurting, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's been doing an awful lot of spinning.
Might be why Bancroft came on initially. Was he went off to get some treatment. Now he's back on, but he's having to manage his finger in between balls.
Rip the skin off it. I never understood that. Oh, that's turned sharp. He was hit him
close,
outside the line.
He's not going to get given.
It's hit him outside the line. He's playing a shot. It may well have gone back to hit the stumps. You can review that if you like.
I'm actually not sure about that, because I'm not sure which pad that hit. If that hit the back pad, that's a decent shout. If it hit the front pad, what on earth are they doing appealing?
I think it hit the front pad.
If it did hit the front pad. Anyway, they're not going to review it.
No.
Anyway, talking about Patreon, you would have heard the little jingle that we played during that break. And let's just have another look at this. Is this the front pad or the back pad? Yeah. Oh, it's front pad. It might have been an inside edge on that. Yes, patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket. You can help us out if you want us to keep doing this. The only way we can survive is by paying the rent on this place. And Patreon helps us to do that. You can donate a monthly sum to patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket. For some reason, it must be to do with Brexit. People are actually cutting their pledges at the moment. Quite a
Don't
bit.
cut your pledges,
Don't
people.
cut your pledge. Oh, what
wow.
a ball!
Now, what the hell has that done? We haven't seen a ball do that all bloody game.
That's amazing.
That's full and outside off. It's gone with a seam and then swung massively after it's gone past the bat.
Replacement ball.
It's the replacement
That's
ball.
a replacement ball.
Wow, that's
redeemed.
absolutely doomed. That is.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean it's
Devin
swung
Wade
and it's gone.
Has come up with a better punny title for a Butler heroics. He says,
Yes.
Headline tomorrow morning about Josh the two of us, with a picture of him and whoever his partner was at the time.
Josh the two of us.
Like that.
That's more tabloidy, I would say.
Yeah. Says our sub-editor to the right. Cummins in and played very late or trying to leave.
Trying to leave again.
I think he was, but it came right off the face into the ground to second slip when Labuschagne fielded it, and there's no run.
There just seems to be a lot more of this these days, of players trying to leave so late that they actually end up playing the ball. And we've seen it several times in this test, and we've seen a couple of wickets fall because of it, and others that could have fallen because of it.
Linux Lear says, "Are you mispronouncing the scum? I don't know what the context is."
Who are the scum?
Southampton, according to Portsmouth.
Oh right, okay. Oh wow! The new ball has done it.
Well,
the new old ball has done it for England.
I almost
started to
think
go off the seam. It's cheating.
Yeah, well, it's not cheating, but do you think that the umpires should have some discretion here? Because obviously this ball is suddenly doing all sorts.
And they should say, well,
and they said, "Hang on, actually this
doing
ball
more than the old ball."
Yeah, and we should take it out of.
We want a ball that does nothing. England should have a say.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, if he can suddenly come on immediately after taking the ball, Cummins was, he's moving the ball, but he's nothing like this.
No.
And then suddenly he gets this ball in his hands and it's doing all sorts.
Yeah.
It just tells you the difference, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Nature of the game, I suppose, left alone this time by Butler. As it's good length ball.
Look at the carry. It's obviously harder.
Yeah, I mean, it looked at it as it came out of the box. I mean, they've got to do better regarding this.
They should get a worse shaped ball. They should get a worse ball, not a better one.
They should get a rugby ball.
Well, they should get one that's older. If it goes off at 57, I mean, they mark them with age, don't they? Supposedly.
Yeah, it's probably a box that says 50 to 60. So this one's probably 51 overs old.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends where those balls have been bowled and what pitches they've been played on. What outfields they've run across.
They've seen the hardest of the ball, and Josh Hazelwood is warming up. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the next over.
Cummins in full.
Oh, this is ridiculous. And, this is ridiculous.
Goes to the defenders, Butler, it jags off the seam and beats his outside edge and so on. I mean, basically, it's hardly gone off the seam the entire match.
No, it's gone off the seam. It just hasn't swung much. Now it's swinging as well. It's done a lot off the seam there in this match.
Well, at times, but at other times.
Come on, look at the balls that Cummins
yeah,
has got
true,
to come
but
back
I mean,
between the gate.
I remember that, but not consistently throughout the game.
Not as much as we've seen in the previous tests.
There's kind of been patches and certain bowlers at certain times with the ball have got the ball to do stuff off the seam.
But this is just talking now. This ball.
This is very much so. It's saying, "Come on!"
Not talking, it's shouting.
I think
show
it
me
is.
the edge. Show me the edge. It's saying. And it's that one didn't do.
Yeah, it didn't do a lot.
He played down the wrong. They played inside the line to Butler and let it go past his outside edge through the keeper, and there's no run.
But there's been almost no swing, no swing throughout this game, and suddenly it's beginning to swing, and then it keeps going off the seam as well. I mean, it's it might sound like sour grapes in England, 140 odd for 6, and but they're trying to hold on in this game, and they're doing their best, and then suddenly they find themselves disadvantaged by a ball that's doing all sorts.
And to answer the question from Carve Llewellyn, he says, "Morning chat, what's the weather situation? Any chance of it pissing down?"
No.
I don't think the weather has changed at all during the fact
all day.
No, today is probably the best day of the entire time. One thing that has to be said is that it's due to go through to 7:30, but virtually every day the lights come in by about 10 to 7, making it even with the sunshine. I think the stadium, the height of the stadium blocks the light out, and it becomes too dark in the centre. But especially for quick bowlers, you might be able to, they might allow them to go with spinners until 7:30. But I think by about 10 to 7, 5 to 7, I think the light meters will be out, and England will be blinking.
The previous question says, "How do we fix England's batting? Scrap the 100. Play Championship cricket throughout the summer. Not bookend the season with it. Pick people with technique."
There's a big discussion to have about the how things work in England. That was tossed up and defended by Overton back down the track, and there's no run.
Peter Lloyd. The Murdoch-owned tabloid is the scum.
Sorry, yes,
of course. Tossed up again, defended right forward. Does Overton come? I'm surprised they haven't got anyone close in on the offside. Might as well. They've got 4 wickets to get. England require 240 to odd to win.
We're getting close to a winner in the pun contest, I think.
Okay.
Headline: if Butler survives for the draw, Joss sticks.
Very good. That one leaps a little bit on Overton. He gets deep in his crease, places it down behind square, no run.
Hashtag I'm sorry. Not that sorry.
That's good though.
That's pretty good actually.
Yep. I can see that on the back of the scum or the
Jeff
mirror.
Perkins says, life is just the box of cricket balls, Forrest.
Yeah. That one is Fuller. And this time Overton gets forward. He's quite happy just to block out, and if he can keep that mentality up for 3 hours, we'll be all right. Defended out to mid-wicket, no run.
Well, I think the wicket's going to come at the other end, to be honest, with the ball doing what it's doing, and Josh Hazlewood getting ready for another little spell.
We're zooming that. Oh wow, driven at by.
That must
Overton.
have been close to 5 penalty runs.
It must have been very close. It
that
was
just
a very
hopped.
full delivery. He drove over the top of it. It turned. It beat Payne. Went just past the helmet, which would have been 5 runs, but instead it's run away for 4 byes.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
Yeah, it's not going to make much difference if it is 5 penalty runs, is it? Though, 4 or 5. It's pretty
Wow, it was
academic
really
at this
close,
time.
though. It was amazingly close, though, wasn't it?
It'd be great if it did it when you needed 5 runs to win.
That'd be hilarious. Lyon comes in, bowls, and Overton defends that comfortably enough onto the leg side. There's no run.
Slight victory for Overton. He's got rid of the man at silly mid-off.
Yes, the point I was just about to make.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going quite slow here because it's 20 past. It's 25 to 4.
Yeah.
When they came out at lunchtime, they should have been having a new. So there's only half 35 minutes till tea?
It's 35 minutes till tea, yeah.
Which is only another 6, 7, 8 overs?
Yeah, probably.
They
Oh,
were-
hang on. Now this is interesting. Oh no, they're showing it again. I thought for a moment
They're replacing
that
the
they were going to replace the replacement. But they are showing this. They're obviously picking this up on the TV commentary as well, that the ball is suddenly doing all sorts of things, because we're showing a medley, as it were, of those deliveries from
I bet NASA's
Cummins.
complaining and Warney's going, well, that's the way it goes, mate.
It's
Yeah.
cricket, mate.
Well, that's arguable.
But my point being that after tea, they'd had, when they came out after lunch, they bowled 44 overs, so there was only 35 overs. That was guided down to behind, through about 4th slip, down to a backward point by Butler, and he'll get himself a couple of runs. So around about tea, or 2 or 3 overs, if they'd have been bowling what they should have been bowling, the new ball should have been due. I mean,
Well, no. How many have they bowled by? I mean, they only bowled a
well,
few.
they were on 44 overs when I came in. I suppose that's half an hour after, wasn't it? 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Edged, not caught. That's Butler's taken all the pace out of that, and it's really well defended in the end, I suppose. It's jumped on him a little bit. He's taken his bottom hand off the ball, jagged his head back, and it's caught the edge of the bat and bounced just before Labuschagne at second slip.
I have to say
there
that
is no
actually, from being a very dangerous bowler with the previous ball, Cummins has become almost unplayable with this one. I mean, every ball is moving significantly. It's a real effort for Joss to just hang in there.
Well, because my thoughts were, as Cummins comes in, that's full and outside the off stump, and Butler leaves it to the keeper and there's no one, that the new ball would have, if they'd have carried on bowling at the right over 8, they'd have got the new ball about 3 or 4 overs after tea. But now it's not going to be. It's going to be, they're going to have to bowl 10 overs after tea, maybe 12, 13, 14 overs.
What, I mean, they're
after
going to be
tea.
bowling 25, no more really than 27 overs a session, aren't they? I mean, so, they'll get another 8
They'll
overs.
only have themselves to blame at the end of the day.
Well, to be honest,
they're
Bear,
not going to get 98 overs.
yeah, but to be honest, I don't think they need a new ball with this one.
Well, possibly not. Well, this one will soften up as well.
Well, ultimately, if they're still out there.
Yeah, true. That's into the pads of Butler, and it's defend up to mid-on. There's no run.
I've got some more puns to give you, but at the end of the over.
Okay, well, you can give us 1 or 2 now. I'm
Our
quite
own
enjoying
Dr.
the
Katie
puns.
Scott says Butler wouldn't melt.
Ooh. They're all quite good. And
Arthurshire comes back with another one in reply to that. Says, I can't believe it's Josh Butler.
A man.
Linux Lear says Sledgehammer of Eternal Justice.
Oh, I don't know what that refers to.
Ian Bell, doesn't it? The Sledgehammer.
Of
Justice.
course, yeah.
You should all apply for jobs at the Daily Mirror and the Sun. Cummins is in, bowls.
Oh,
wow! No, that's going down leg, mate.
I mean,
that's a reverse swing. What?
Well, it's gone miles.
It has gone miles. I'm waiting for the speed to come up.
I mean, that has gone like
quick.
That has gone like a Jimmy Anderson delivery. It says only 83.5 miles an hour. It's more than that.
That's gone long, and that's
it's gone late.
Reverse swing.
It's gone late.
It's hitting probably in front of about leg stump, but it's gone too far, and it's gone way down the leg side, I think.
Well, I've never seen a ball change have such an impact in terms of, being that much better for the bowlers than
I think
the
someone
one
should be
before.
going upstairs saying, well, actually, yeah, fair enough, you needed a ball change, but this ball is doing way more than the other one. This is unfair.
This is poor.
People are going to complain, say that I'm just being whingy, and on the back foot is Butler and defend up to mid-off and there's no run. And maybe I'm being a little bit whingy, and the rules of the game, but, I mean, you can't. The new ball is supposed to be the leveller. I mean, you get a new ball after 80 overs.
But this is behaving like a new ball, or
like
more so.
Ball. Yeah, it's would have been umpire's call. It would have a shaved leg stump.
Surely that's not hitting enough of leg stump to even be umpire's call, is it?
Well, it doesn't matter if it had given it out. It just has to be hitting in some respect.
It would have been ridiculous, I think. Well, I mean, they can keep Pat Cummins on. They bring Josh Hazelwood on at the other end. I mean, they're obviously loving this. Getting the spinner out of the attack is obviously to Australia's advantage. It's this man.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
I think there's something to be said that you shouldn't change the ball whether it goes out of shape or not. I mean, you never do that in any other form of cricket.
Well, I imagine a spinner would be absolutely fuming if it went out of shape.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes the odd shape of the ball can do things for you. Overton is defending that out of short cover and there's no run.
Craig Everton Weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the case, isn't it? I mean, sometimes when it's out of shape, it does strange things in the air itself.
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on why the ball has to be replaced. I mean, if it's just gone out of shape,
it's gone out of shape. That's what I mean. I think that's because you're bowling badly and you've been hit.
Yes and no. It just means that some balls are not made to quite the same standards as others, maybe for one reason or another, or they get a bit of water in them.
Well, there's no water in these, is there? That's defended out through the covers. And there isn't anyone at cover. There's a more I've been off and a point, so Overton gets himself off strike.
No, but it's the kind of thing that can happen. It can lift the seam. It can, it can.
Yeah, well, that's different. I mean, if the outfield's wet and stuff, but this is a dry day and it's just gone out of shape because it's been battered a bit. You got to take wickets with it.
Who can tell how the balls are stored? I mean,
well, there's another.
Not only the ball that's been replaced, but also this ball. I mean, has it got wetness?
Yeah, exactly. Has it been stored in a room with high humidity and absorbed loads of water on one time?
We're looking for all sorts of conspiracy theories here.
Therefore, it's heavier and swinging in that direction.
I think that's what it is, and I think it's an absolute outrage.
It is a fucking outrage. Butler remains on 24. Overton's on 5. England 153 for 6 with a notional target of 383. Hazelwood's bowling. They've got a new ball because the other one didn't fit through the fucking handcuffs. Left alone outside the off stump by Butler and through the keeper and there's no run. And it's doing all sorts all of a sudden when it was doing pretty much bugger all before.
The next year says, I would only apply for a job at any of the tabloids mentioned here to act as a fifth columnist of decency and common sense.
Well, that'd be
would write outrageous shit that would get them sued and collect dirt on the other hacks.
Yeah, I dream of a day where I was a multi-billionaire, could buy all these right-wing papers and suddenly make them...
Turn them into left-wing papers.
It'd be hilarious.
Well, we did have a brief period where the Sun got into bed with Tony Blair, didn't we?
Yeah, we did indeed. Well, that's because the Tories were so poor. Butler, a short ball by Hazelwood, just drops his head, drops his hands, and lets it through to Payne. There's no run.
But it was very interesting last week when, with all the trouble that was going on in Parliament, the different approach of the
It's amazing
English
when you read different
Sun.
papers.
Well, not just the different papers, but the English
that.
Sun compared with the Scottish Sun.
Absolutely.
Where basically the English Sun was just based on putting Jeremy
Wasn't
Corbyn's
the Scottish
head
Sun generally a little bit weaker?
Well, it was actually just it made a joke.
Admonished him.
It sort of admonished Boris Johnson, whereas the other one had Jeremy Corbyn's head on a chicken.
Yeah. Strange, huh? Full, too wide though by Hazelwood and left alone by Butler through to the keeper and there's no run. At the end of this over, we should have a change, I think.
Lundog is actually trying too hard now. He says, if Butler clinches jaw while getting a century, Joss in broadside as he leeches Aussie bowling to get over a ton.
Lordy.
Wow.
Hashtag dreadful.
You don't have room for that in most papers.
No,
these days.
exactly. That could be the sub byline.
Subheading.
Yeah,
Subheading.
the subheading.
Stand first, even. Subheading stand first. Not quite the same, but if you want to.
The underline.
If you want a technical point.
Technical point, yes, indeed.
Lower point text. Butler facing up. Hazelwood is in, and he gets behind that one, defends it out to cover, and there's no one. Hazelwood isn't getting his ball to do anything like Cummins is, though, weirdly.
Shall we get Tony back in? Who needs a break next?
Oh, well, I think it's Jason's turn to go next.
Okay.
And Tony, who comes in here then? You?
Well, Tony, I'll come in there for, it's only 20 minutes, isn't it? So
no, it's 4:10. I think it's half an hour pretty much.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 4:10 tea. So you get a half an hour. You play a little jingle, we'll have a little switcheroo.
Indeed. Is that it now? Is that the end of the...
That's the end of the over.
Okay.
The best things in life are free. Just like Gorilla Commentary, we need money. That's what I want. Gorilla Cricket. We need money. I don't like the BBC. I prefer Gorilla Commentary. I want money. $20 for the archive. That's what I want. Or just buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things you can do. You can buy a t-shirt by going to our merchandise store, which is on the website, gorillacricket.com, or you can give us money on a monthly basis. That's what we really need. That's why the jingle says we need money. By going to patreon.com/gorillacricket. Please don't cut your pledges if you can possibly avoid it, because that makes things much more difficult for us. 153 for 6. This is an interesting over because it's the first time that Cummins, with this new ball that's doing everything, has got a chance to bowl to Overton. As Tony comes into the jingle chair, in comes Cummins again, bowls and right forward.
Good shot.
Overton. That was a very firm defensive shot all the way up to mid-off, and there is no run. Welcome back, War Tawny.
Thank you, Hendo. Very dodgy, I reckon.
This ball,
change of
this
the
ball business.
well,
I mean, it's just doing ridiculous things,
Too
isn't
much.
it?
Oh, well, here's another one. Ben Seat. Butler serves up a treat.
Woo. Woo. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Butler's been around, so there have been a lot of puns on the Butler name by now. So you've got to be pretty original. 3 slips, ring of 3 on the offside, shortish extra cover, mid-wicket, mid-on, long leg. In comes Cummins again, short ball, and Overton gets down, and that's no mean feat because he has a long way to get down, and does it successfully.
If he was going to be a proper Butler, perhaps he could get a job at Downton Abbey.
What, with Paul Downton's Abbey?
Yes.
Well, Lennox Lear comes in. There is a quote by Murdoch saying that he would turn Fox News political around 180 degrees if he thought that it would make money.
I'm not 100% sure. Well, I suppose.
So the left wouldn't, they'd make
that's not going to happen because the left are going to tax you, and that's what you don't like.
Exactly.
Says a
You've
man
got
who
enough, though, haven't you?
occasionally takes money from him. Cummins into Overton, full, and again right forward. One of the advantages of being so tall does mean that he does get a good stride in, and he could teach a thing or two to Jason Roy. What's so funny?
Jeff Perkins.
We're tickling. We're not tickling Tony this time. We're tickling the bear.
Tickling the bear.
Stephen drives me batty. His headline would be butt plugged.
Oh,
I like that.
I think
Trafford Walton says old ball did nothing only because out of shape. That's not true because the over before it wasn't out of shape. It was only towards the end of its life it got out of shape.
Well, it'd been doing a little bit. Oh, now look at that. That's going to be LBW, isn't it? Yes, it is. I mean, well, how is a number 8 supposed to play that? He's saying that he may have got an edge on that, so he's reviewing it. But that swung ridiculously. And now Patrick Cummins is not one of the big swingers of the ball. He's very good off the pitch, but he's not a big swinger. But that has gone like a very quick James Anderson delivery. And I'm not sure how a number 8 is supposed to deal with that. Or even a number 1. To be honest, that's just craziness. Has he got an inside edge on that? Oh yes, he's got a massive inside edge. It's practically the face of the bat. So he will survive, and England won't have lost their 7th wicket.
I think that might hit him outside the line as well, If it hadn't hit the inside edge, it hit the back.
Massive inside edge there. So Marius Erasmus chalks up another mistake, 2 or 3 today. But
he's been pretty good.
He is generally very good.
Marius?
Now I don't know why we keep looking at that, because it's
They're
quite.
trying to figure out bat onto pad, pad onto bat.
You can see the deflection, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
It's gone off the face of the bat. The bat is turned, trying to get round the front pad. If this doesn't get overturned, then technology is an ass.
It is
and
indeed.
Those interpreting technology are also asses.
His bat is level with his pad there. It's in front of his pad there at the line of the ball. It's clearly hit the pad. The bat is in front of the pad.
It's clearly gone off the face of the bat. I mean, come on. If that's given out, then
you're going to throw a wobbly. And
well, I kind of
walking
am.
Out of here.
I'm kind of going to throw a wobbly, because I think that the change of ball has been heavily measured in Australia's favour, and I don't think that's out. I don't see how that can be given out.
That can't be given out. It's clearly come.
But obviously, whoever's up there in the third umpire's chair. I mean, I think the problem is complicated, because he does catch the back of his pad with the bat as it comes through, but it then comes off the middle of the bat.
It's off the middle of the bat onto his pad.
Come on, I mean, you know.
It's above the pad when it hits the bat.
Yeah,
it's definitely not hit the pad first. It's hit the bat first. It's a fucking disgrace.
If this is given out, I don't know, I can't remember, but if this is given out, it's a joke. And that you might as well get
You can see it from there. Clearly his bat's in front of his pad.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the third umpire is covering all bases here.
He's got to have reason to overturn. Well, there is a reason to overturn. It's hit the fucking bat first, mate.
Well, it's hit the face of the bat. It's not even an inside edge. It's hit the face, because he's turning the face of the bat to try and get at the ball, and he has got at the ball. I mean, you know, I will lose all faith in interpretation of.
No, you can't.
And
the
impact's outside anyway. I mean, you could have gone back to that in the first place, couldn't you? Absolutely ridiculous. Not out. Finally. I mean, I do wonder how. You know, umpire's got to look at it from all angles, but you know, really, if the first angle was showing that the impact was outside anyway, that renders everything else obsolete. However, the ball is doing all sorts. That was a massive in-swinger from Cummins, and at his pace, it's not easy for a number 8. But well done for getting some bat on it for Overton. He did well to get a bit of your bat in front of your pad when a ball's moved that significantly. Here he comes again, Cummins. This one go away, perhaps? No, it comes back into him, but he just helps it on his way. Very fine. They should get back for a second here, as the man from long leg, Hazelwood, comes round. And Overton moves to 7. England to 155 for 6. And that is the end of Cummins' over his 20th. He has figures of 4 for 41. We can't bring you any tweets for the time being, because the bear has gone to the woods, and you know what that means. We're going to have a look at this again. I don't know what we can be discussing about this. It's absolutely plain. And in fact, we see a close-up of Ben Stokes and Joe Root, who'd obviously seen it in the dressing room. And they're just saying, why is this taking so... What on earth is going on out there? And they're quite right to feel that way. Butler then will be facing. It will be Hazelwood, we think, to continue. He's just started a new spell. Why am I hearing myself for a second?
Because I'm logging into Facebook on my phone, and I just turned it down for you.
Okay. Well, yes, Hazelwood is just doing a practice run-up for some reason.
It's not the first time this series has happened, though, is it, Endo? Because it wasn't. Was it Edgbaston where they changed the ball after about 60 overs, and it suddenly started doing all sorts of things and took Denley's wicket, as I recall.
I don't remember that, I have to say.
Yeah, no, it did. It's the second time this series that around about 60 overs the ball has changed.
Well, it does seem odd that England's attempts to change the ball have been so incredibly unsuccessful in comparison. In comes Hazelwood, bowls to Butler. Butler reaches in front of his leg on the line of the leg stump and tucks it into the onside, wide enough of mid-on that he can come through for a single. England moves to 156 for 6.
Trusting Overton if he's going to take a single off the first ball of the over. He's not trying to find the strike then, is he?
I think what you will get from Overton is wholehearted effort.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he's not the worst batsman in the world by any stretch of the imagination. And I think he's one of these guys who does kind of relish the competition in a way.
Who's that?
Overton.
Yeah, I think so too. I think in that sense he's quite good. David says, how's that not out? Delaying the inevitable. I need to go to sleep soon. It's not out because it hit the face of the bat and hit him outside the line of off stump and he's playing shots.
Just the two reasons. Full. Driven back at Hazelwood by Overton, who responds to the temerity of him finding the middle of the bat by taking the ball in his hands and then threatening to throw them back at the stumps, but Overton is not perturbed by that, just scratches out his mark again.
The backyard Charizard, I quite like that name. Question, during the drinks break, is the batting side allowed to bring out a bowler and a keeper to ensure the batsmen don't lose mental focus? No, they're not. Caviala Divikar says, it wouldn't be called a break if one side kept playing, would it? Very true.
That's a fair point.
Hazelwood
in short ball, and Overton does very well to get as low as he can out of the way of that.
And people are asking about people's religious affiliation, which I can't afford to go into, but I like backyard Charizard's replies. I'm about as Muslim as Moses was.
Okay, well, let's not get into those sort of arguments. That's not why we're here, really. Although I suppose technically religion potentially is why we are literally here. Or it may not be. It could be that we were just sort of, formed out of rock. 156 for 6, Butler 25, Overton 7, 3 slips and a forward short leg. In he comes again, and he drives slightly on the up. That's a lovely shot, actually. He's timed it beautifully. It seems to be speeding up as it runs towards the extra cover boundary, and that is a fully deserved 4 England moved into the 160s, 160 for 6. And that really was a beautifully timed stroke, beautifully played. Technique was
lovely,
excellent. He does get a good stride in.
High elbow, played through the 9.
I'm beginning to find that there's something about our batsmen and our bowlers, that most of our bowlers seem to have actually better batting techniques than our batsmen. The Jack Leaches, the Craig Overtons. Craig Overton tries to turn this down the leg side. Has he got a little bit on that?
No.
Tim Payne stands up, having grabbed it expectantly, but no. That is correct answer.
Adam Smythe says, the call was changed in mid-session for no apparent reason. I think he means the ball, not the call. Because the Aussies wanted it. Balls have changed far too much. Unfair on batsmen who have to start their innings all over again. I think that's fair. I mean, this ball has done a lot more than the old one.
I don't think a little bit of misshapenness is different from the stitching coming away or whatever. I mean, you literally can't bowl with a ball like that, can you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you always remember how you would remember club nets. You'd always end up with those balls where
nothing
falling apart.
I mean, fucking hell.
Hazelwood in again. This one comes back into Overton, but he's forward and gets enough bat on it to steer it to mid-wicket. And that is the end of Hazelwood's 12th over. He's got figures of none for 18.
Well, Adam Smythe does correct himself with ball instead of cool. Fair enough. Barry Goodman, big sexy Barry, says, I think it's only fair that if the fielding side can appeal against the ball being shit, the batting side should be able to appeal against the replacement being too good. And I think you're dead right there.
That's
big
an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, indeed.
Oh, we're changing that. We're changing the laws of the game as we go.
And he asks, did the replacement ball come pre-sandpapered? There's a big sexy Barry. Roger Melly, apart from that is bollocks. How much more fucking obvious does it have to be? I think he's referring to the LBW that they replayed over and over and over again.
Well, now here's an interesting and a good move from Tim Payne. People talk about Tim Payne's captaincy, but I think he's been very good.
The ball's swinging.
The ball is swinging. Who do you bring on? Who are you going to call? You're going to call on Stark Buster. He's going to bowl. Left arm over the wicket to Joss Butler. 3 slips. Short extra cover. Backward point. Mid-off. Mid-on. Mid-wicket and long leg. And here is his first ball of his 11th over. A new spell. He bowls, and that's nicely timed by Butler. Just feeling for it a little bit outside off stump. I guess he's worried that the ball could come back in to him quite significantly. It may not, I suppose, because it's a slightly different angle, different action, but we shall see.
Well, his jingle says no swing since Cape Town, of course.
No, but his jingle, his swing came last night.
Yeah.
A little bit of it.
He's had no swing. No swing.
Here he comes again into Butler, back of a length, left alone. We don't have to get this one turned up because I love the guitar solo on this.
That's as high as it goes, the way it's set at the moment.
minutes ago, Linux Lear said Craig overturned.
Craig
overturned. Very good.
Pirate Badger Mutiny says Joss flying buttress stops England collapse.
Yeah, we're really onto the old tabloid headlines this afternoon.
I like
You're running with that. I like it.
Yeah, you keep coming with them. I'll keep sending them out now.
Full driven again nicely by Butler, but that angle is cut off by having that short extra cover in, or shortish extra cover, and grasps it.
I think we know that Evil Scooters is an Australian, don't we?
Well, he's in Australia.
I'm pretty certain he is. He said, come on, Endo. You know full well a third umpire has to follow a set order in what they determine when doing a review. I'm very sceptical in the decision it didn't hit the bat. The third umpire clearly did. Everything 100% right there. Pete Lloyd says third umpire is Ruchira
Garuga.
Nako
has a different way to pronounce it.
Indeed. He's found an outside edge, as you know. He's actually steered that. I thought for a moment it had flown off towards the slips, but he's actually timed it really well, and it's flown away to the right of backward point for 4 runs. He opened the face really nicely there, but again, there's not the stride, is there? There's not much of a stride from Joss Butler. He's, his front foot is only just in front of the batting crease. You got another one?
No, Caviela Divica says, just by the way, the dude in the middle, which is you, Hendo, in a black polo, looks like an overweight John Stewart.
I don't even know who John Stewart is.
He does the day-to-day.
He's a thin Hendo.
He's a thin Hendo, obviously.
He does
left alone outside the off stump.
He used to do
overweight.
What's the show he does tonight? The
day-to-day. I don't know.
The Daily Show.
The day tonight.
No, he was the Daily Show.
The night tomorrow.
The American sort of daily.
I know who you mean.
The day yesterday. The day yesterday.
I do know exactly.
He's quite funny.
I've been compared. And so am I.
Plaintiff. Yes, so am I.
Yeah. Overweight. How dare you?
Richard Reeves says, umpire relying on technology when a pair of eyes and common sense would have sufficed. Indeed.
Oh God! If that doesn't send me to the gym, I don't know what will.
Nothing's going to send you to the gym. Let's be honest.
Starking again, outside your stump, back of a length, left alone.
See, he's not getting it to swing. What is Cummins doing?
Well, it's curious, isn't it?
It is curious. Our very own Nakala Pani says that was not TV umpire Rachura Palia, however you pronounce his name. I can't really do it. I'm terrible. Palia Garugu.
Seeing a picture of him, I kind of looked a bit like him 20 years ago. When I was a little bit thinner, it has to be said.
Anyway, it's not the umpire's finest hour, says Knackle. He's new to the elite panel, and maybe that showed it. It didn't need nearly as many replays. It's all that to determine that Craven was not out. Indeed, Adrian Lowe says Gorillas. Has the ball actually made the difference, or have the Aussies just applied themselves better?
The ball's
come on, no. The ball.
I think the ball's definitely doing.
I mean, the ball's not been swinging pretty much for the whole of the match, and now it's swinging significantally.
Ooh, umpire belt. So religion is a no-no for you, but politics is. I assume because you're a socialist Marxist. You are atheist. No, I don't like God. I
don't like him.
I've had a big discussion about God before on this show. I think God's
I don't like him. I don't like him. But hang on. You can't say I don't. You can't say I don't like him and then say you don't believe in him. If you say you don't like, I mean, it's suggesting that you think he's.
I don't like something that doesn't exist. Doesn't
you
make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I'm agnostic in the sense that it does exist, but personally, I don't believe he probably does. But if someone proves to me he does, that's fair enough. I don't like religion. It's the start of all wars.
No, yes and no.
And there we go. Yeah, and politics. Yeah, we'd always discuss politics.
That said, you shouldn't actually believe that all gorillas believe exactly the same thing.
So no, they don't. But I'm the founder.
And so am I. So
exactly.
I just undermine you.
So you can disagree with me, and we can have a big fucking Barney, but everyone else has to toe the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Much like a cabinet in politics.
Yeah.
Well, we know that doesn't work.
No,
indeed. We've got a leg slip now. We've got a forward short leg. We've got a slip, an orthodox one for Craig Overton. It's Lyon back into the attack. I just didn't even notice that. Now this turns, and did he get a little inside edge on that? A desperate dive from the man at short leg, who is Labuschagne. And I'm guessing he didn't pick that up cleanly. I'm not even sure whether there was an inside edge, but great effort if there was.
Desperate dive to try and remove a man who looks like Desperate Dan.
Yes, I know where that's going. Nowhere near it, I don't think. I don't think he was anywhere near that one.
Messages posting Helen's stress disorder says things you don't expect to hear on grid number 204. Knackle has a different way to pronounce them.
Never hear that at all. Flicked away past the short leg. Labuschagne's diving all over the place. He's not very successfully at the moment, and he's looking ever more like the plug from the Bash Street Kids, if you remember him from your dandy. Yes, or was it your Beano? I can't remember.
Ben Badello.
Oh, now this turns a long way from way outside off stump, but it was a little bit short.
He's bowled too short, mainly. In the main, I think he drags that. He's not giving it air. He's not going up and down, is it? It's kind of going. It's hardly any up.
Well, no, he threw that one a bit wider, didn't he? But it did turn a long way. He's in again. Bowls to Overton. Overton goes back. He's hitting the pad, but that's turning down the leg side. And there is no run. Butler 29, Overton 11, England 164 for 6.
Right, as I said, Ben Dello says clearly not good enough for that. To umpire the international game, you cannot see Overton middle onto his pads. It's true. John Stewart says Devon Wade does last week tonight, yeah, but you used to do the Daily Show. Messi says word is that God doesn't like you much either, Bear. Well, he doesn't have to like me because I don't believe in him. So that's
I think that God may question one or two of your lifestyle choices, Bear. I mean, if he's really a sort of very, if he's very severe, if he's a severe God.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, anyone with that much power is probably a fucking dictator or an authoritarian wanker.
God's a dictator. Yeah.
So there you go. That's my view. Hendo worked with Zultzman. Zultzman worked with John Oliver. John Oliver worked with...
Oh, my word!
Coincidence!
Stark! Almost bowls Butler there with one that seems to come back a little bit. It was a leave. Sorry to interrupt you there, Bear, but I had to because that was extraordinarily close to the off stump. See, does this one move? Not really. That wasn't as close as I thought. I was getting over-excitable. It's just the fact that I've been compared to John Stewart. Oh, that is a picture of me.
Yeah, that's
from Southwold. Yeah, indeed.
Looking like a gangster.
And also looking a little bit thinner. Because that's 4 years ago now. Stark in, bowls full, and attempted drive by Butler. Doesn't really time it, although Wade has to really hurry round at mid-off to actually cut that off. This job is not good for you people. This is why we need money, because we eat bad things and we see dead people and things like that. We eat bad things. I mean, I reckon I've put on a stone since the beginning of the year, easily.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I put on probably a bit more than that.
Well, anyway. Maybe more, yeah.
Thomas Smith says enough about it. I've been out all day shopping with the missus in Dubrovnik. What's the score? Dubrovnik's a nice place.
Short ball, which Butler ducks underneath.
But my dad always used to go on about. He went there with
Dubrovnik.
When National Service was involved, he was in the RAF and he went to Dubrovnik for a couple of years. And he always used to go on about Dubrovnik.
It's very
the
attractive.
score is 169 for 4, 168 for 4.
Not 4. I wish it was only 4, Bear. It's actually 6. Now you'll get there in the end.
164 for 6.
Yes. Butler 29. Overton 11.
How many overs to go? Asked Roger Manning. We don't know how many overs to go, but we're coming up to tea.
I reckon it's about 40.
I can tell you.
It's about 40, I would say. They probably won't get all those in if they need them. Stretching for this again a little bit, Butler. As it is interesting, isn't it, that Stark doesn't seem to have got that swing with this ball. So they were thinking, well, look at this. Look, Cummins is doing all sorts with this.
At the end of this over,
let's get one of our best swing bowlers on.
Minimum overs remaining today of 38.
38. Okay. So we're about 7 minutes from tea. Well, 6 minutes from tea now, possibly, as the clock ticks round.
Cavilla Divicast says John Stewart's an absolute legend, by the way.
Thank you. Stark in bowls again. Back of a length and left alone by Butler. So we've
Sean McGowan.
Yes.
Says if Joss gets past 32 and Craig Overton past 24, they'll be in for the draw. What are we on now? 11 and 29.
Really?
Okay. Well, hold on.
That's an interesting prediction.
Random
prediction. Random and very precise. There's a little bit of concern on the knotted brow of the occasional Aussie supporter in the crowd. But, let's hope so. Stark in again, bowls to Butler. Butler defends a fuller ball, squarish into the covers, and there is no run. That was 88, nearly 89 miles an hour from Stark. He's finished his 12th over. He's got figures of 1 for 36. England are 164 for 6.
Chris Sonny's just said hello on Cricket Tracker.
Hello, Chris Solly. So England 164 for 6. Patrick Cummins 4 for 41.
He was good. Have we had tea yet? No,
not yet.
About 7 minutes. Dave Wood says they should shave a millimetre off Lyon's spinning finger every time he appeals unnecessarily. That'd be quite amusing.
That's a brilliant idea. And we should have keep some of these ideas and sort of
I like
actually.
this as well. Fuku Lai says, it's definitely not fair. I can't change my balls if they go out of shape.
No comment. 38 overs remaining, as we just said. It's Craig Overton settling down, trying to see England through the tee. It's Lathan Lyon coming in. He's really thrown that up very wide indeed, but it's taking sharp spin now. And even though Overton guards his off stump with his life and his extremely big body, it almost comes back enough, doesn't it? He defends a flatter ball this time towards short leg.
Yeah, but it's bouncing. I like the way he takes his hands right behind him.
Well, that's what you've got to do.
Going to glove.
That's what you've got to do, because he could just rise up and hit those even when you're trying not to play the ball. I think that maybe is what Lyon is aiming to happen. 3 men round the bat. He's in bowls, and nicely played by Overton past the ever diving Labuschagne. Short leg out towards mid wicket, and there is no run.
Right, Z says new ball is due in 13 overs, so all in all, just 2% chance for a draw. Yeah, well, a new ball is going to be the big thing, isn't it?
Would appear to be, although they've still got to get to that point. In he comes again, and right forward, opening the face ever so slightly to push it into the offside and ensure that the short leg has no interest in that whatsoever, apart from just a leap across the pitch to field it.
Well, and they've given England practice with it now by taking a new ball early.
Well, in a way, they have, I suppose. Lyon again into Overton. Oh, and he has to go back to the one, and it just spits a little bit, but he controls his shot down into the ground very skillfully. And there is no run. 1 ball of the over remaining. Lyon's 21st over. Payne goes down. And in he comes, it goes back to that. If it hits those pads, he's going to be in trouble, but he gets bat on it, down into the ground, and to the man at short leg. Another maiden, but well played by Craig Overton. England 164 for 6 will get 1 more over before tea. Anyone wish to add anything? Any comments? Or shall I just do all the work?
Oh, sorry, Pando. I was checking something else just momentarily. You caught me at it.
I did.
It's tantalising for England, isn't it?
As ever.
Does Pat Cummins not have the end of one finger, or is that
the end of one finger? I don't know.
There's a picture here that Chris TB has sent in. He just turned into Cummins. He's already missing the end of his finger.
I didn't know that. If that's true, we are going to have we're going to have a strange change. It's going to be Labuschagne coming on to bowl.
It's interesting captaincy again. No risk before tea.
I don't think I'd have given another over
Bit
to
of leg
Mitchell
spin.
Stark. I mean, that said, if Labuschagne was able to winkle one of these out, it's a fantastic piece of captaincy. He's got a short extra cover, a short leg, and a slip.
After this ball,
in comes the leg spin of Labuschagne. It's a awful ball, which in another situation Butler may have heaved into the crowd. Instead, he just pulls it gently towards deep mid wicket and takes the single. And says,
here is the bowler.
It's
anyway.
all down to you, Overton. Comes in, bowls another short piece of filth to Overton, who just actually says, "I'm not even going to bother with that."
Well,
and leaves it.
Martin White, who's been on this show several times, I'm going to fucking take
issue.
Oh,
that's a much better ball. Is he bowled him? I don't know. He's gone up for an LBW, and so various people are joining in, and he's saying, "No, it's not been given. What's wrong with that?" He's going to consult with Steve Smith. He's going to consult with Tim Payne.
I think I reviewed that.
Well, I thought it had bowled him at first. I have to say, it was a tremendous ball. I mean, hang on, what is this?
Don't review it. Don't review it.
No, he's not going to review it.
I think that's out.
I don't think Tim Payne would.
Did he? Unless he got an edge on that, surely it missed the front edge of the bat and hit the bat pad in front of middle and off, didn't he?
He's bowled 2 long hops and an absolute stunning delivery.
That's out.
Oh, well, has it turned too much?
I don't think
maybe?
It's turned too much. Maybe it's going over the top, but I think that's fucking plumb.
Ooh, well, might be a let-off for
I think
Craig Overton.
I thought it hit him in front of middle and off. I think it hit him in front of about middle, didn't it? It's a pretty flat delivery, isn't it?
It's a good ball, though, and this is another piece of filth, which he somehow manages to scrub almost off the ground on the second bounce out towards deep mid-wicket. Here we go. It's pitching on leg stump. It's hitting middle, and it is missing.
Oh,
right, okay.
In regards of height.
Well done, umpire.
Well, he did get a stride in. He got a stride in, which is decent.
He did get a stride in, but it seemed quite a flat delivery, that's all. Martin White says, supposing we're going to lose today, and therefore the last test is effective. It's not fucking mean. If we lose today, we can still draw the series, Martin. Whether we win the, retain a little fucking urn.
Well, Bear, I mean, this is ridiculous. That's with Googly, I think, from the bowler, and it's defended by Butler. Well, Bear, when it comes down to it, it's about the Ashes. Whether you like it or not, everyone says it's about the Ashes. If we lose today, we have lost the Ashes.
We haven't lost
the Ashes. Well, they have been
They
retained by
have
Australia.
been retained, but we haven't lost them. Well, there's a difference between losing them, drawing, and then retaining the title. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think there is, actually.
It's like losing the FA Cup penalty. I don't know.
No, it isn't. No, that's wide of the off-stump turns, but left alone by Joss Butler. They survived until tea. England, they are 166 for 6 from 69 overs. We have about 36 overs to get through for England to survive and take it to the Oval still alive, Bear.
Well, my point is retaining a trophy in a drawn series is kind of like a Pyrrhic victory for me. Okay, they get to keep the trophy, but we didn't lose, and it's important to say I didn't lose. Okay, they get to retain a trophy that was they won last time, but they didn't win this time. I think there's a fucking big difference.
I don't think there is.
Well, okay, you don't. I do. I think there's
really
a massive,
don't. I
think there's a massive difference.
I don't think that anyone's going to sit down and say, "Oh, look, we drew that series." They're going to say the Ashes were not regained.
Well, they may not now, but when the next one comes around in Australia, everyone will go, "Yeah." When we go over to Australia, we didn't lose the last series, because that's what they'll be saying when the first fucking day of the Ashes in 2000, whenever it is, in Australia, and everyone will go, yeah, well, Australia got the Ashes, and then the English commentators will be sitting there going, yeah, well, we didn't lose the last series, and it'll become really important when they say that in 2 years' time. It's bullshit. You either lose, draw, or win.
Not really bad, because if England then don't go to Australia and win, Australia keep the Ashes forever and ever. I mean,
they
for
don't keep them
goodness
forever and
sake,
ever.
well, they keep them until
time.
we win it. We have to win it. If we don't then go to Australia and win that series, if we draw another series, they keep the Ashes still.
Yeah,
well, that's what it's about. It's about holding the Ashes back. Come on.
Well, for me, that isn't as much as important as the result in the series, actually.
No. Well, I'd like
a result
to
is a result. Well, no, people do feel. I totally accept your point of view, but for me, in a sporting context, you either win, lose, or draw. And if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. But if we draw, yeah, fine. The trophy gets kept, and they won last time, and that's fine. But it doesn't mean they beat us this time, and it doesn't. We didn't lose.
Okay, well, we're going to have to disagree. Agree to disagree on this, I'm afraid. We're going to have some highlights while we go and take a break and beat the shit out of each other. And we don't want you to see that on live Facebook or YouTube. Please join us again in about 15 minutes or so, after we will be replenished by chocolate hobnobs, and we'll see you shortly.
Okay, right, let's play some stuff, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. If you go to iTunes, you can carry on just playing where it was left off. Changing. Okay. All right, we'll see you in a bit.